Hello, welcome to another brand new Unsourced Radio. I'm being joined by two fantastic guests right now. A fourth one is coming, but right here we have Doug and we have Mikkel. Mikkel has been around, well, a bunch of times here, and I'm always glad to have him. But Doug, we did a recent one on your channel like a couple weeks ago for 28 years later. But if you introduce yourself now, that'd be great. Give us a little shout out here.
Hey, I'm Doug, and yeah, that was great having you on for that. And I probably do want to have you on to talk like other, because I've just been wanting to like go back through like other recent DC stuff, and I especially after this movie want to revisit like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. After this, I mean, we'll get into it because it's this movie's definitely like in dialogue with those movies.
Oh, 100%. How about you, Mikkel? Just introduce yourself, and then we'll just head into like our just general thoughts.
Hi everybody. I have been a guest here on Unsourced Wall radio podcast a few times, and I really like to talk about film, television, new media, and superhero movies, and really movies in general. So, that's about it.
All right, so big new release came out. It's been the talk of the last year and a half or so. Superman, they finally rebooted it again. This is the real start of the DCU, the new one. After the other two real starts, this is finally it. We promise.
What were the
And
other fake starts? It was the Creature Commandos,
Creature
and then
Mandos and Blue Beetle, I think they were like iffy
oh,
about.
oh, Blue Beetle also it's like in has toes in both
Yeah.
continuities.
Oh, Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos. I gotta say, at the very least, Superman is not as bad as that. Creature Commandos is unwatchable. It's
Really? Because
unwatchable.
I was kind of curious. I was like, is this anything?
Terrible.
No. Okay.
Terrible. Oh my god. It is sub anything. It feels like he wrote that like in a weekend. Like this just get this out immediately as soon as possible. That's how it feels. Terrible.
Wait, wasn't Peacemaker kind of sort of the kickoff point for
Well,
Maybe
what
yeah,
Gunn
season two.
was doing?
Maybe
but
season two, but
yeah, but the Snyder Justice League does show up at the end of Peacemaker, but then also he's in this. I feel like they're gonna kind of do how Marvel has merged to like TV stuff, like how New Daredevil's like, yeah, some of that happened, but we'll just tell you the stuff that doesn't fit our continuity.
Selective memory and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's finally here, Superman, and all this anticipation, all of these wild rumors, which all turn out to be true, um, and it's finally out. So let's give it a bit of a go around here. Mikhail, you have seniority here. So why don't you tell us what just your general thoughts of the film, how you rate it, and move on from there.
Thanks. So, I saw it last night, and I don't know. I guess I was expecting more given the effusive praise that I've been reading on
Hmm.
the internet, on Rotten Tomatoes. Because to me, it's just the movie was okay. Like I wouldn't like, it's a very mid film, and by mid, I would be like, okay, I would probably rank it like I guess maybe 6, 7 out of 10, something like that. Um, because I- it's not a movie that has a lot that really stands out for me above what you would, I guess, above what you would expect, above the average, right? Like I think the elements I liked the most really were Mr. Terrific and Lex Luthor, and the second one probably more so because of the performance of Nicholas Hoult. um, I mean, I think I I'm okay with this incarnation of Superman. I think there's chemistry between the leads, all that stuff, and I can kind of see why it would appeal to people because it's sort of it's definitely a 180-degree overreaction to the Snyderverse take on
Hmm.
Superman. And I think that's what a lot of people really wanted, which is why now everybody's like gushing about it so much. But in that sense, it's quite overrated. So as a movie, it's okay. I wouldn't call it bad. I wouldn't call it that good either.
What will you, Doug? Give us your little log line here.
Yeah, my initial takeaway, like leaving the theater, I was like, I'd probably be like a 3 out of 5, but like on the that's why I kind of wish like Letterbox you could go to like out of 10, because maybe this is closer to like a 7 point. It's somewhere between a 7 and like a 7.5. Like it's it's competently made. Like there's like casting overall is solid. I wish certain characters had more like screen time together, because it seems like a big to do was made about like the chemistry between uh Superman and Lois, and it's like, yeah, would they're like very separate for a lot of the movie. So I was like, oh, maybe. And some of my issues I feel like are just like of superhero media in general, of how, or just blockbuster filmmaking, how it always needs to be bigger. I'm like, you could have just have this be like a relationship drama, and I'd be pretty into it. Like, you don't even have to have like, oh no, there's like a black hole that's gonna destroy the city. It's like, I don't care about that. So yeah, I'm mixed on a lot of stuff, especially the third act is where there's like a lot of things that are like start to be like, but I didn't walk out like angry. Overall, pretty like ambivalent. Just kind of like, yeah, it was all right. Like I overall still like Gunn as a like a filmmaker doing these comic book movies. I hope that my head canon, or maybe this is just cope. I'm like, well, yeah, this is like the Force Awakens of like, you just really got to get everyone back on board and like ease everyone in, like play really safe, and then we'll bring Ryan Johnson in for the next one, and that's the movie that's gonna piss everyone off, which I'll actually probably like do the one that actually like takes some big gambles after you've got everyone like comfortable. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he'll be emboldened after the success of this. It seems to be generally well received, but I would agree that it does feel like some people are just responding more to like the idea of the movie, of like, yeah, this is like the kind of Superman I want, and instead of like, it's just anti the Snyder take, which is like, okay, but as a movie in itself, how does it fare? And I would say so, pretty good in some regards, not the room for improvement in a lot of others.
100% agree with both of you. I would say, that The Force Awakens is way worse than this, and just speaking literally, if we compare the two movies, The Force Awakens was really shameless about it, about what it was doing. Way too shameless. J.J. Abrams should be forbidden from writing anything ever again for that. I know, just off the cuff. I feel like the Rise of Skywalker has more going for it than The Force Awakens. Force Awakens, I just hate it that much.
I mean, I guess at least the Rise of Skywalker, it's like a misguided ethos, but it is it's like, let's do everything against the Last Jedi reception, whereas The Force Awakens doesn't even really have a take,
It's
other
just
than like,
let's do New Hope again.
let's do it again. We have a pretty solid cast. Do we have ideas of what to do with these characters? No, but they have chemistry. Kind of like, put them in. They look at them. They look good together, don't they?
Let's just
That
do
was the
New
Force
Hope
Awakens.
again. Yeah, let's just read. Let's just read the script.
Coasts. It coasts on the relationships, I think,
Yeah.
between the cast.
So again, I feel like Superman, it does play it safe. It does feel very by the numbers, and that's why, and that's what keeps me from really delving into much, because it feels very light, very breezy, very peppy, and like that works. It's the kind of movie, for better or worse, that you would want to make if your plan was to just make like a series of interchangeable, template driven sequels after it. Like, okay, so we set this up, we have these characters that can, now we know that we can spend like 3 minutes, give them some time to do their catchphrases, get a little fight in there, some jokes, some kissing, and then boom, we got another sequel. Boom, we got another sequel. Boom, we got another sequel. And so I feel like that's what sets it apart, because it feels like the master mold for like just a franchise, which I know, especially Man of Steel, was intended to do, But with like Man of Steel, even the original, it doesn't feel like that when you're watching the movie.
It feels like its own movie. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
there's things that you definitely make sense. Like when you see Batman v Superman, you're like, okay, it makes sense. They're expanding from
Yeah.
this thing here. But like
Yeah.
you could just watch Man of Steel and be like, that was a Superman movie. And
Yes.
maybe you don't agree with that take of the character or characters in it, but it is a self-contained film.
Yeah, it has a narrative drive to it. And the first one too, like maybe not like a narrative drive, like cause, the first one, the original Superman movie, Christopher Reeve, is very sort of like
It's kind of like a
mood,
hangout movie.
Yeah, exactly, kind of a mood piece. It's very segmented, very kind of vignette heavy. But that's the thing. That's its intent. It wants to like take time with the character, to hold space for the character, to contemplate like that character, where they came from, their life, that kind of stuff. So it has its own really kind of root foundation about it's what it wants to be. Superman, the new one, and again, it's like it's fine, but it feels like this is a movie that we can make to make Superman 2, to make Superman 3, to make Superman 4, to make Justice League. Like it's like okay, it works, but like it works like a random issue of a comic would work. Okay, that's random issue. That's fine. That's readable. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
But it's
like
not like
I like when people like the idea of that when people say that, like, oh, you're just opening a random comic. Like that sounds cool. Or like I've also heard the take of like it's kind of just starts at the third act and keeps going. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, but like I kind of want it to stop at certain points and like let certain things breathe or dwell. Like it just keeps go 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 go. Like the most we stop kind of is when it goes to the ranch and he sees Pa and Ma Ken. I'm like, oh well, that's like the best part of the movie for me. I'm like, let's just hang out here for a little bit, like we're just spending time with these delightful characters, and like let's do more of that. I don't need. I mean, I know there has to be a big fight at the end of these where people punch each other, but we don't have to devote all of the screen time to that.
No, I definitely agree. So that's where lands for me. Like where it works. Like it feels like okay, this is a movie that you can watch and it's a fun movie. But like, is it interesting? And I would have to say absolutely not. It's not and that's the thing. Like I don't want to say this. I don't want to say to be mean. But like I'm always entertained for the most part, except for Suicide Squad 2. And yeah, except for Suicide Squad 2 and the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm always entertained for the most part by a gun movie. But like as we're going along, I'm wondering like, can a gun movie ever actually be interesting? Like what like he's like fun movies, great dynamic characters, but what's the interesting things that are actually being developed or explored? And like,
I feel like we're pretty far from like I'm not saying he needs to be straight up making trauma films for DC, but that would be interesting. But like it does feel like we're pretty far from. My favorite gun film is Super with Rainn Wilson,
Yes.
and it's like yeah, you're not gonna. Maybe he could get away with doing something like that for like a really off-brand character that's like lesser known, but it's like yeah, he's not gonna do that with Superman, but. But it's like, well, why can't we do something kind of weird or weirder with Superman? Like, I don't know. It seems like Zack Snyder got a pretty blank check to do whatever he wanted to do with the character, and he made some, controversial choices, but they were choices. Like he was
there's
like
a strong vision. I said the vision I agreed with. No, in fact, I think actually when we got the leaked plot for the other two parts of the Justice League trilogy, like some of those choices are terrible. Some of those choices I think are some of the most awful, stupid choices I've ever heard.
Don't you want to see Batman cuck Superman and get Lois Lane pregnant? That's what everyone wants.
Like,
look,
oh,
guys,
man.
to be fair though, those are like ideas, because there's just so much happening before it ever gets to script, and then before
I know,
Right,
but like,
all that,
but I know, but we're not gonna relitigate Snyder stuff here. And but I'm just saying, it's just that like, you know what? At least that's a story being told. And like again, like,
it's a take.
Yeah, what is
It's
the
a
story
choice.
being told in Superman, the new one? And at the very when you get down to it, not that much. What's the story? It's a week in the life. That's all.
The story is about how immigrants should give up their culture and assimilate and become. It's kind of the anti-Sinners in a way. Sinners was like
No,
you give up yourself and like what you lose part of yourself when you assimilate. And Superman's like, no, you should do that.
you know what? Let's head into it because whatever. I'm gonna say this for last. I'm gonna say this for last, but it's interesting to say right now. It's so funny how many people over the last 10 years have been like, oh, Man of Steel and that Snyder trilogy is like the most Republican, conservative, like right-wing, fascist interpretation of Superman. And it's like, well, I mean, come on, let's think about it. Which one had the message? We're like, hey, man, you know what the real heart of a person is? Strong white American families in the heartland. like that's the message you get at the end of this, isn't it? It's like it's not even any like denouement. There's not even any capitulation. There's not any like confrontation. It's just like Jor-El and his wife were evil. Okay, well then forget about them. We're not even exploring.
Just delete, like he deletes that file from his Fortress of Solitude computer. He's like, I'm just gonna watch this montage of my real white parents here. So now...
No, that's the funny thing. It's the funny thing because you look around, people discussing this online. All the people who are trying to defend the weird messaging of that are saying some really strange shit hey, you know what, the elves are dead. They're not his real family anyway. They never have been. I've been seeing shit like that the entire day, the last 2 days, and it's like, my God, for all the flack Man of Steel gets for like Krypton had its chance. When we came out, people were like, this is the most racist thing ever. He said Krypton had its chance. How can he do that? Don't you know Krypton's important? And now it's like, well, Krypton doesn't matter. They're all destroyed. Thankfully, he met this American family that can raise him right. I'm like, ooh, boy. Well,
I think the Krypton stuff in Man of Steel is like some of the best parts of that movie. I mean, yeah, I don't get that taken out, because like you can do the idea of like, okay, the Kryptonites were like these imperialistic like warmongering people, but Clark still came from. I mean, that's basically what Snyder did. Not to keep it looking at.
That's what everyone does.
They weren't all like that, though.
Exactly.
Remember, his parents, and there was that whole space exploration thing. So they had a military fascist aspect, but then there were also, they were explorers. They wanted to really like expand and like share their knowledge, whatever, stuff like that.
But in this, we have no context of what the rest of like it does feel like cope when people are pointing to Supergirl as like being like, well, hashtag not all Kryptonites. Like maybe she's like the proof of like the elves were just kind of like crazy. But it's like, well, how am I supposed to? I don't know anything about Kryptonites in this universe other than that video.
This is amazing what you're saying, Doug. Is that how you actually describe them?
How I'd actually describe what? Not all Kryptonite.
Kryptonite? What are you? Kryptonites?
Oh, Kryptonians. Sorry. Yeah. I think you can tell I'm not a Superman guy. I mean, I saw the animated series as a kid.
I don't think Gunn is at this point. I don't think Gunn's a Superman fan either, so we're in good company. But no, you're right, because like people are coping really hard. I saw someone say like, well, people like someone. I'm saying this almost verbatim. I saw a post going like, people are saying that Superman rejects his heritage to just be American, but don't they see he's still wearing his Kryptonian outfit? And like, is that Kryptonian outfit? Because like we see
this movie doesn't establish that
exactly.
at all.
And Jor-El and Lara, they have like these generic, boring robes on. Like, hey, I thought this was gonna be comic accurate. I was hoping to see like him wearing his sun uniform with the sun helm and shit. Like, come on, can we do that?
Their main reference point seems to just be the 70s movie, like Richard Donner, but like with like some more razzle dazzle. Yeah, with less budget.
That movie looks good. That movie looks good.
Oh, no, yeah, that movie does look good. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like the sheen of like what a modern budget has of like, oh, we could show the Forge of Solitude, it's like shifting crystals and stuff. It's like, well, they had pretty cool sets for the like for what they did in the 70s with that movie. It's like, it looks really good.
But yeah, and also again, it's both because you mentioned Supergirl. Everyone's like, well, he's still hanging out with her. If he was rejecting his Kryptonian heritage, wouldn't he have a problem? Well, how do we know? Because James Gunn spent her entire screen time doing a drunk party girl joke instead of like anything
I
emotional.
don't know if she even knows about that message. Like, what does she know about her Kryptonian heritage? Like, I don't
Right.
know anything about the character other than she likes to party, which I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, it'd be funny if the Supergirl movie is just like super powered, super bad, and there's no superhero like kind of plot. I want these movies to do radically different things, and that's maybe like some of my disappointment with a lot of the choices in this. It's not do it is very much trying to be like, hey, remember that Superman you liked, the Christopher Reeve? Like, we kind of got that vibe here, but not really. but when it's closer to that than Snyder, which you guys didn't like, right? So we're doing something more like the hopeful one, which like his characterization overall, like I think, is it Corn Sweat or Corn Sweet? How do you say his last
Corn
name?
Sweat.
Corn Sweat. I think he's good. I think that they're not asking. Like, I would really love to see him. Like, if you're going to do that, like, oh, the L's were bad and sent him to conquer the planet. Like, let me see him like really grab. We only get the one scene of like where Lois talks to him, and I mean, I guess you get a little bit of that on the farm too, but like that's not. That should be the whole arc of the movie then, if you're gonna invoke that of him trying to like sort through like what this even means to him. Like, this is like an existential crisis, and like would find navigating that, like, even if it muddies the metaphor a bit, like from a character standpoint, that could be like pretty juicy to explore. But we kind of just like talk like you said, there's no like real resolution of, like, we don't even see the public changing. They know that Lex Luthor sucks, so they're like, hey, fuck him, we like Superman again. But we don't ever see,
There's no development.
There should still be like a talking head or someone on the street be like, yeah, I don't know, I don't trust that alien, he wanted to conquer. They basically just need like, I saw people invoking Raimi Spider-Man, and it's like, okay, there's scenes where New Yorkers rally around him and say, like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. But also, plenty of people still hate him, like not just Jonah, like just random people hate Peter and Spider-Man, so he's always going to be fucked with, but he's going to want to do the right thing despite that. So there should be some kind of lingering of that by the end of Superman, of like, well, he's still an alien, and like, yeah, that's not gonna, besides Luthor, other people would have issue with that.
No, completely. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, if we go back to Kara for a second, I mean, I was always just wondering, I'm like, wait, why is this scene even here? Like, why is it about this? Like, her being some drunk party girl or something? Like, why?
This gun's a hack. It's a hack.
But I mean, it's not a very good look for this new character that you're introducing. So I'm just wondering, what was the kind of the choice behind? Was that supposed to be a joke, or? But also now that but going back to the whole Kryptonian heritage thing, I do believe Supergirl is not always technically a Kryptonian, right? Like, she's maybe from Argo City or Argo Planet or whatever, right? So, I mean,
like
they don't delve into that. But sorry, you were saying?
It's like a peninsula sometimes. Sometimes like a little asteroid or a little asteroidette that like kind of orbits Krypton, or like sometimes the city on Krypton, like next to Kandor. It's like one of those two things. They change it a lot.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have any context of word, because I think we're just supposed to assume she's also Kryptonian, right? Like, that's based on what the movie's telling us. Like, I have nothing else to go on, other than that.
Yeah, and the movie doesn't care enough to like actually kind of slow down and like actually let us get invested.
It's always moving in that Force Awakens way, where it's like, you kind of want to distract the audience, I think, from the fact that there is a problem with the scene that you're watching. Like, it needs to move on to the next thing to prevent you from realizing that, hey, wait a minute, something here isn't actually gelling, maybe narratively or thematically or
or
otherwise.
or it's purely just a means to an end to justify like a later plot point, which yeah, movies do that in their construction, but you can also combine those with some stuff that has emotional weight, because like from a vibe and idea standpoint, I really do like the pocket universe that Luther built, and then that's like kind of thematically, you're starting to gesture at like, oh, this immigrant's being illegally detained and stuff, but like we don't sit with that for like at all, because it's like, okay, we established Luther keeps all his prisoners in this pocket universe, and then immediately he's got to get Metamorpho's son, and like you just go go go, like the movie's not gonna like sit still for any amount of time. And I was like, okay, well, wait, what about the pocket universe though? I mean, they use it as a means to build like the crisis at the end of like, oh, there's a black hole now, but like you could just make something else destroying to say, like, it doesn't feel like this is like a specific thing. The third act just kind of bores me in terms of like, okay, you set up a dilemma of like he needs to save Metropolis, but also there's this war. I mean, I guess we do have to get into the war in the not Middle East that Superman is involved in.
It's so funny because at the beginning, before we started crying, I was like, let's start with some positives. And then for some reason, we've segued into all the stupidest things about this goddamn movie.
Because the things I like are so tight. I'm like, well, I like David Corenswet, but then I start thinking about like the nothing that they do with him in terms of like emotional arcs, and it's like it's hard to really separate the things that work from don't work, because they're immediately followed by each other.
Exactly, but
Yeah,
but
they
go
tied
ahead, Miguel.
together. I mean, they're intermingled a lot, I think. Like, I mean, I like Lex Luthor, for example, and I really like Nicholas
That's
Holt's
great, yeah.
performance. Yeah, but it's also it also, I think, happens in alongside like all of these other things that to me are sometimes just kind of, I don't know, incongruent. It's hard to come up with an immediate example, but maybe, I don't know, maybe like the whole Eve Tessmacher thing, because I'm just like, well,
oh my god, one of the worst things about this goddamn movie. It's so terrible.
It feels like he was trying to have his cake and eat it too. It's like, we can make fun of this dumb bimbo who's always doing so like kids and their selfies, am I right? But then they're also like, no, she's really smart. Like, she's actually the key to the whole thing. And it's like, okay, well, you could have just had her be smart. You didn't have to be like the secret. It would actually make more sense that, like, yeah, sure, like rich guys do have like trophy girlfriends all the time, but like it would kind of be more interesting of like, oh, Lex has like a girlfriend who's kind of almost intellectually like maybe not an equal. You never see anyone as an equal, but it's like, yeah, she's not dumb.
And that's
like,
the funny thing. That's the funny
yeah.
thing. Like Eve Tessmacher is based, obviously, or an adaptation of the character from the original movie, the Reed movie, right? And in that, she's kind of like we described. Like she's like quirky, comic relief, and some of the jokes. I'm not gonna shy away. I'm not gonna be hypocritical. Some of the jokes in the original movie are also a little misogynistic as well. But her character and her like the way she is performed and depicted is a lot more like tete-a-tete. She bucks against Lex a lot more. She's able to trade barbs with him. She's a little bit more witty as well. So it feels like, and it feels like that there is a little give and take there. And so it's kind of weird that it definitely does kind of mean that Gunn took that character, saw that character, and made the active decision to just make her really, really dumb and ditzy, and
because it's not just like that Jimmy is being dismissive or
Jimmy's an
misogynist.
asshole, man.
Like, it's like, okay, if that's the take and that's how you're gonna have him just treat women that way, okay, but it feels like the movie also is looking down on Eve, not just Jimmy.
It's definitely like that old like rom-com thing, like, oh, you have the clingy like runny stalker girlfriend. It feels like something from American Pie or something, or a Peter Farrelly movie or something like that. The Furley Bros. It feels like that. Like this is something. Why does this trope jump out of the '90s or something? And for a character that wasn't even that trope to begin with, like that's an active choice. And like, why did Gunn do that other than it being sexist? And I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's weird.
I would ask, for me, just going out of there, one of the big questions was, and again, this is going back to the fact that we have very little understanding of what Krypton is supposed to be and what it represents. But I'm like, wait, so is the idea that his parents are bad on some level because they, I mean, are they supposed to be like representative, I don't know, of Middle Eastern or Asian cultures or peoples who have like like who are into polygamy and harems and stuff? Like, they keep bringing up that whole harem thing so much,
which they just use as a joke, but it's like, okay, are we going to deal with like the oh, you're invoking that and it has some baggage, it's like that.
Yeah.
What culture? It almost feels like in a very loosey goosey way that George Lucas played with race in the Star Wars prequels. I'm like, yeah, Trade Federation, they're just like Asian. And it's like, well, what kind of don't worry about it. It's just they're Asian.
No need to report anything.
Oh my God! It's a family show, Mikkel. Oh wait, no, that was a Pittsburgh Nemoidian accent, though.
Yeah, kind of.
It was an Nemoidian accent. Okay, there we go. But no, I definitely agree. And it definitely feels like that Gunn is just picking and choosing, where to direct like these jokes to, and like, well, one, do we even need these jokes? And I gotta say, more often than not, watch the movie, like, no. I mean, you can treat a movie like this with sincerity. You don't have to be like, oh, okay, we need to have this joke because it's easier to write jokes about these kind of characters. But like, why would I want caricatures in this movie to begin with? What purpose does that serve other than to make it easier for you to write jokes? And who says I even want all these jokes here? Like,
Like, I could buy that Guy Gardner, especially this characterization of him, would ask Superman about the harem thing, but it's like, it just feels weird that that's even being associated with Superman, that. And another incongruous thing that really felt off in the last act is the whole Ultraman of it all. And I'm sure you have some takes of like different versions of that character and stuff, but it kind of seems like they were trying to do like a fusion of like Superboy, like the pseudo proto Bizarro like version of Super. Like, he's a clone, but he's not smart. But when Superman finds out he's a clone, he is like seemingly totally like, I'm sure the him going in the black hole's set up for like later or something in a sequel, but for all he knew, Superman could have killed him by throwing him into that black hole, and there's no like look of remorse or like he should feel sorry for this guy. Like, if it's just within the logic of this movie, this is like a clone of him that has like cognition issues that Luthor's taking advantage of. Like, this guy, Superman, has empathy for a squirrel and even a giant kaiju destroying the city. Like, his own clone, he shouldn't be trying to like appeal to his, like, find some inner goodness in this guy. Like, come on, I know, maybe you can hear me. Like, there's part of me in you. Like, we should, like something like that. Like, I'm just spitballing here, but it's like that would be more interesting than them punching each other, is if he tried to make some kind of emotional plea.
Okay, so can I just add to that, because this movie, and I think this is again partially an overreaction to complaints about the Snyderverse Superman, about how he doesn't save people, which was bullshit in the first place, right? But I mean, they literally have a moment where he goes out of his way to save a squirrel, of all things, and I'm just like, I have to wonder, man, like, I would have totally cut that. Like, you don't need to show any more about how he supposedly cares about everyone, right? But you're absolutely right. Like, when he's fighting his evil double, right, there is no effort. I mean, he even tries to tell the engineer that, like, hey, you don't have to do this like stuff like for like. There's no attempt at having that with this guy, who is also, I think, the Hammer of Baravia, and that's like for some reason never brought up again.
Right.
But to me, it was like the bigger thing was like, wait a minute, so this is weird. So here you have a Superman that goes out of his way to save a squirrel, right? And he apparently also has no qualms about, say, taking the president or leader of another country out to the desert and
like threatening.
yeah, and basically like threatening, like to kill him unless he complies with what he wants, right? So I'm just like, I'm not sure I can. How do you? Something here doesn't quite fit,
Like,
consistency
it
wise.
makes sense that Lois would call him out on that when he's detailing that, but then it's like the movie kind of doesn't care to call him out or follow up on that idea of like him
Yeah.
because that would be
In fact,
fine. Of like,
it goes like 20 times worse at the end.
Because you can have him trying to do the right thing, but occasionally stepping over the line, and then he needs to like learn his lesson or something. But like, what lesson does he learn? Because all of his controversies are kind of like, yes, based on what we see, that translation isn't faked, but like everything else, all his other problems are like Luther manufactured controversies. So like, wouldn't it be more interesting if like the hammer of Baravia, that if that wasn't like a Luther manufacturer, if there was like genuine outrage that was like not manufactured against Superman intervening in this thing that he kind of had no business intervening in, and then like the repercussions of that would just happen, and it's not like like maybe Luther still has some stake in it. I don't know. It really gets messy because when you start drawing the Israel Palestine connections, it's like, what are we doing here with this storyline?
Yeah, it's 100% correct. And again, it goes to the main problem of the movie. Like the movie wants to be like, hey, we're free, easygoing, no muss, no fuss superhero movie. Superhero fun, smile,
Also,
happy.
Israel Palestine.
Yeah. Also, immigrants, heritage bad. Also, white American family is good. Like what? Like, come on, man. If you're gonna bring this shit up, explore it or stick to being a nice, easygoing superhero movie. I mean, either go for it, or don't. But if you're going to like gesture toward each topic, you're going to bring them in, then by not committing to them, you're just making the movie look cowardly or incompetent.
Like, because it resolves things like the Kryptonian heritage thing in a non way. Like having Hawkgirl killed not Netanyahu isn't really a resolution of that. Like Superman has nothing to do with the resolution of that arc. Like I've seen people defend that by being like, well, he inspired the Justice Gang to like intervene. It's like, did he inspire them? He just explicitly asked them to do this for him because he couldn't do both. So
inspired him to commit an international incident.
He's like, you guys can be fascists too. Come on, exert your will, use your power. You answer to no one.
It feels like Gunn wanted. It feels like Gunn wanted Superman to kill him, but he was like, "Oh, I can't have Superman kill somebody like that."
Hawkgirl does it
exactly. So I was watching Man of Steel last night again because it's a fucking perfect movie. Okay, it's perfect. The perfect movie.
I would say it's of the DC Gunn stuff, or not Guns, of the Snyder verse. Like that's my favorite.
It's amazing. I was watching
Aquaman is the true masterpiece of the
I meant of the ones that Snyder did. But yeah, I like Aquaman.
Aquaman's fine. I like Shazam. Shazam's good. Both of them are great. Anyway, so I was watching the Man of Steel, and the scene where Zod and his soldiers and minions are locked up, right, in their sarcophaguses. I
will find him.
That. He said like, oh, you won't kill us, but you'll condemn us to the Phantom Zone. You wouldn't dirty your hands. And I feel like that's kind of what I wanted to say to Superman in the new one, because like that the Justice Gang just kind of exists in this movie so that Superman doesn't have to kill anyone, and he just passed the buck.
He will ask his friends to commit international crime.
Okay, so can we talk about that? Because I have actually, I might like turn it into an essay, but I've long wanted to talk about the fact that in a lot of superhero movies, especially over the last 15 years or so, there's this kind of unspoken rule that superheroes don't kill, but villains still die. Like there's always this this kind of way that they'll always try to contort or find a way to ensure that your main hero does not literally get his hands dirty. And to me, that the difference between the big one, to me, one of the principal differences between Joss Whedon's Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? It's like in Joss Whedon's Justice League, it's like Steppenwolf is a kind of sort of eaten by his own parademons or something because he gives into fear. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, no, they like Aquaman stabs him through the back, and then Wonder Woman just
They cut his
literally
head
cuts
off.
his head off, right?
Yeah.
No mercy, no question about it. And you watch like 9 out of 10 superhero movies, it's like they're afraid to let their main character kill somebody. There's always like either somebody else, it's like maybe your girlfriend will like do it for you, like Pepper Potts will kill Aldrich Killian for Tony Stark, or maybe the guy will die through happenstance, right? Like it's like, so if he gets like sucked into a portal or something, but not directly thrown into it or whatever, but by the main character, right? So this is just, to me, this whole thing, right? Like, you're right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. They have these other they need these other characters to take out a bad guy totally and completely, because you can't have that. You want your main hero to preserve like his code or whatever, right? Which is why I think it was quite genuinely shocking in Man of Steel when Superman is forced into this situation where it's like it's life or death.
He doesn't want to do it. Like, it's like actually a pretty good, like, I don't even think Cavill's like the greatest actor of all time, but he like sells that moment emotionally, because it's like it's not just killing Zod, it's like symbolically like, oh, this is the last of my people, like I have to totally just there's no salvaging this, and like people are just going to keep dying if I don't do this.
Right. And I mean, if you hear about, I mean, I don't know all of the behind the scenes stories, but story goes that apparently, at one point during the scripting process, no, the story goes that Zod was also going to be locked into the Phantom Zone, and apparently it was Snyder who insisted no, they had to, bring it to like this definitive situation that they needed that moment, right? And that is like a very provocative, powerful choice, right?
Yeah, that's a choice.
Yeah, from a storytelling standpoint, it should be an active decision by the protagonist and how they resolve it shouldn't feel incidental or kind of just like hand waved away, like the just a solution. Okay, like you'd be like, okay, it's not Deus Ex Machina, the Justice Gang said, because we said the Justice Gang. It's like, okay, but you just set them up just so they could do that. So it's Deus Ex Machina with more steps.
And I have a feeling, right, that especially with the Engineer and with the movie that was like announced, but now is like in limbo because Snyder greenlit a movie without having a script. I mean, no, Gunn greenlit a movie without having a script. It kind of feels like the Justice Gang were originally going to be like a proto-authority,
right? Because isn't the Engineer is in the Authority, right?
He's from the Authority, yes, and so it feels like a lot of something here feels like holdovers from when that was a more active part of the movie. Like you have Planet Watch, which is clearly to me inspired by Stormwatch. Which was the precursor to the Authority. Stormwatch was the team, and Stormwatch got disbanded, and it spun off into the Authority, with the remaining team members, forming that team. And so that's what it kind of feels like. And
so
again,
in this universe, is the Justice Gang supposed to be funded or backed by Maxwell Lord? Is that how that works?
I guess so. So how does that work
because we don't even see Lord until there's a little like, oh, it's so funny when he says on the news like, the only thing liberals and conservatives can agree on is Lex Luthor sucks, and it's like, well, couldn't he have? Lord should have been a character in the movie, okay? If you're gonna be just like throwing that, I know there's a lot of other stuff going on in the movie, but that's important to the movie. Then that would actually be in the movie.
One of his team members just killed the president of a foreign nation.
Right, like shouldn't he be like he should be in Congress right now answering or some government. He should be at Planet Watch and to be like, hey, what are you doing? Well, your guys just like killed someone.
I suspect that probably would have been that might have been a bigger part of the movie, just because they went out of their, they went through the trouble of even having that scene and even casting that character. And I forgot who it was that played him. Right,
but it's Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So I suspect maybe that was a bigger thing, and then it had to get cut down, as these things usually do, in post production and stuff.
But it's like, let's cut out some of the boring action instead of that. If that was more important for us to see, like, I feel like they're cutting the wrong stuff. Like, let's have fighting Ultraman and the Raptors. They're such a non-entity.
Oh my
Like,
god!
cut those guys out. Like, what the fuck is their purpose?
Yeah, so when you mentioned like the third act being boring, I was okay with the third act because I did find like the Puck universe, the Black Hole thing. Yeah, that's mostly kind of seamless. It's it's not. It could be a little bit handled a bit more impact, but that's nice enough. But then like the act where he fights, he gets huge fight between Engineer and Ultraman and all of that, right? And that's finished, and then like get the Raptors in. And, like this goes on for another like 10 minutes. Like if you snipped that fight scene out of the movie, nothing would change, and it would actually get a little bit better. Because like you're just extending this giant fight scene for no reason other than spectacle. And like, hey, you already blew your spectacle wad. Let's frickin' go on. Get the show on the road.
Right, like people complain that Man of Steel's finale goes on too long. It's like, well, can we let's cut some of this fight in Super? It's like, yeah, it's already a lot with Ultraman, because there's stages to the Ultraman. First in costume, and then he has to fight him again for a few more minutes once the mask is off. And it's like, yeah, I would have rather that trim the Raptors, maybe make some kind of. Does it need to be a reveal that Ultraman is a clone? Like, what if you just say from the start, Luthor just is like outright like, yeah, I cloned Superman, but my Superman's like better because he like has accountability or something, and then you can explore the dynamic.
I will say that.
What's up?
I don't think the fight was even all that great, to be honest. It's weird.
No, it's not. He just he doesn't have creative solutions to things in the fight. Other than it's like, okay, I've seen him use his laser vision and punch things before. Like he uses ice breath in the pocket dimension. I was hoping that of like, can we get some? Or he also uses his like breath to like blow a dog away. It's like, but like, let me see some of those different power uses like in combat. Then, like, if you're gonna have these fight scenes keep going, like, let's mix it up.
I just want to say, I to this day, I think.
All right, Ro just rose here. Hey, can you, you there, bro?
Oh yeah, I'm here. What's going on, y'all?
So just pause for a bit. Introduce yourself, and we're just kind of into the weeds of all the stupid stuff the movie does. And we're talking about Ultraman too, so I know you have huge thoughts on that. All right, so first off, introduce yourself. Give us like your overall and where you rank it, what your rating is, and then if you want, like we're let Mikhail finish his thought about Ultraman right now, and you can just like I know that you have a bunch of thoughts about it. I want to piggyback up some stuff you've already told me about, so you take the floor.
Cool. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Roliver Queen. Sorry for the lateness. Good to see you guys, Elvis, Doug, Mikhail. Hey man, good to see everybody.
Hey.
But yeah, I'll just give you guys my quick thoughts on the movie. I thought it was solid. I had a lot of fun. I was entertained. I watched it in IMAX, so I guess that helped a little bit. And to me, it felt like a early issue of Action Comics, because I felt like thank goodness for the previous Superman movies, we got the origins and stuff out the way. So I feel like we just got into like the thick of it, which was cool. But like I said, I enjoyed it. It seems like I came at the right time because we're talking about Ultraman. Like I said, this would have been a 7.5 or even an 8 out of 10 if they just didn't use Ultraman. Like, don't use his name. That's not Ultraman. Like, take that away. This movie is great. It still is great, but it's even greater. But because of that, in good faith, I can't give it higher than what I gave it, which was a 7 out of 10. But I think this is a good start. So, well, not start, I guess, continuation of whatever Gunn is doing. But yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm a little more hopeful than the last time I spoke with Elvis. But yeah, overall good. It's a solid movie.
All right, so Mikhail, you're in the middle of something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that it was kind of funny to watch the climactic action sequence in this movie, and the whole time I was wondering, are they trying to, in a way, maybe even subconsciously, are they trying to top what Snyder did in Man of Steel? Because that final Zod versus Superman duel, I still think that's probably the greatest action sequence in a superhero movie that I have seen, like, in the last, I mean, since that movie came out. It's like
It's
I've
like a
seen
live action anime fight. It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, in some ways, sure, but also it's just, I don't think like it's been imitated so many times. There's like, I think there are like YouTube compilation clips of all of the other Superman media, and even Invincible, and I think even Sonic kind of had its own riff on it. Like everybody tries to homage that sequence, especially when he like punches Zod mid-flight and then flies up again and punches him even further, right? And so just watching this, it was interesting. I'm like, I kind of could feel maybe they were trying to do something that was sort of like a response to that, but like you cannot like top that sequence. I think it was just like so well done, like so grand and operatic, right? Like it just goes so completely, it just keeps building and building until finally it goes into space, and then it ends on that very grand operatic death scene, right? And here it was just like, man, like I see this and I see what Superman does, and I'm like, well, it does not compare. It doesn't come close.
It also feels like kind of a cheat stakes wise that you could, like, Metropolis is getting destroyed by this black hole, and that Mr. Terrific can just hit, if he has the right codes, he can just completely reverse it. Like, they have the joke, of course, of like, oh, this building's not completely straight, like it didn't form back the right way, but it's like you don't even want to deal with like any kind of like aftermath or city destruction imagery, so they're like, okay, we'll just hit the redo button. We'll just undo the stakes of this final act.
I will say I did like the idea of the black hole destroying Metropolis, because they did kind of link it emotionally to Luthor's own sort of self-destruction. Like he becomes like, he keeps growing more and more obsessed and unhinged. Like, he's like, I don't care about the city being destroyed as long as, and then it's like, it's like this, almost this realization that, oh crap, like, it's like almost like he's losing it, and the city destroying it kind of, I don't know, like the city coming apart reflects his own mental collapse. I think that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, I get that. I think it's just like, just pick one thing to like, either it's saving the city, but then also fighting Ultraman, and then also the Bravia invasion has to be dealt with, but not by Superman. It's like you can have the dilemma of like, he needs to, like Spider-Man movies do that, for example, all the time, where it's like, yeah, Peter needs to pick one or the other. No, he's going to try and do both, and like sometimes there'll be disastrous consequences, but Superman doesn't really have to choose. Like he does all of it, and yeah, just the Ultraman of it is weird, because it's like, why not even going off like the comic version of him, but like, if you're gonna have this character, like I already said, like having him be a clone, and then it doesn't seem like, not only does Superman not have empathy for him, but like we, the audience, are not supposed to feel anything for, like, yeah, whatever, fuck that clone, fucking throw him in a black hole, like. But it's like such a sad thing, if you delved into like the life of that character, like, I mean, Gunn already, guess, I had a relationship like this with the High Evolutionary and Rocket Raccoon, but it could be like some kind of abusive father thing with like Lex and this clone of him, like kind of grooming him to like one day just destroy Superman, and you just kind of sit with how fucked up and sad that is. And it's like,
yeah, you know what you're describing? A really great Bizarro story, and that's and that's what makes me really mad about Ultraman, because not only
why
is
have it be Ultraman?
exactly, but the thing is, right, not only is just using the name Ultraman, but Gunn is clearly also imbuing Bizarro elements into the character as well, because Bizarro was originally like a mindless weapon by Luthor, and then it became the Bizarro we all know once it kind of evolved from that. But let's see here. You basically, until a sequel, maybe capitalized off it in some way. Gunn has basically wasted two Superman's best villains in one shot. And it's like, why are we here? And like people are like, oh man, this is just like the comic. Like, is it? What comics are this like? And it's so funny. It's so funny because people are like, well, see, in this issue, the elves are evil, and I literally, this is amazing. It's people like, see, in this issue, elves are evil, and they posted a page for evil. Like, see, the elves are evil in this, just like this movie. Like, and they posted a page for evil, which is like, that's a crime to the comic. That's from Earth 3. Oh my god, these people are. But again, I feel like, and I want to sound like a Snyder cultist here. Right? Everyone who knows me knows that I'm normal. I like Snyder's movies. Sometimes I don't. I'm not like a big Snyder head. But it feels like a lot of people are giving Gunn chances they wouldn't give Snyder. They just really wouldn't. They're making excuse for him.
I was always wondering, like, why is James Gunn allowed to do all of this given the box office failure of the Suicide Squad? I mean, maybe Peacemaker was enough of a success, but still, it's like you would think that.
I think it's purely based on the Guardians of it, of like how how big those were for Marvel and DC just wanting of like, well, because Suicide Squad like flopped, but it was also not a lot of movies were doing good during that time. I mean, like, I think that was the same year when No Way Home came out a couple months later. Like, then people will risk getting COVID to go see Spider-Man, but not the Suicide Squad. Did
Suicide Squad come out did it come out in theaters, or was it just a HBO thing?
It was day and day. It was
both. Oh, yeah. Okay. I forgot about that.
I streamed it. Yeah, I didn't go to the theaters because it's free on HBO. So I was like, okay.
I know what I was about to say. Like, I'm glad I didn't go to the theater, but you know what? I'm glad. I'm really sad that I'm mad I watched it at home too, because that movie sucked. I'm like, god damn. I'm there like watching. I'm in my living room. I'm Ethan Parker. I'm watching. Nothing's demanding me. Even then, I'm like, I wasted my time watching this bullshit. I wasted my time.
Yeah.
So would you say you like Superman better than the Suicide Squad?
It's okay. I would say this is a good version of what Superman Returns tried to do.
Yes.
Right. Like, it's not the worst Superman. Like, there are worse movies featuring Superman trying to kind of capture that Christopher Reeve energy, which is what Superman Returns wanted to do. It literally was trying to be like, no, it's the same guy too. Like, don't worry about it.
I think Man of Steel was all the better for not trying to capture the Christopher Reeve movies.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's bring up the elephant in the room too about the Christopher Reeve movies in this. I was really shocked that they went as far as to try to replicate the zoom in 3D letter credits. I was truly shocked. And I'm like, this is shameless. This is really distasteful, I think. Like, you're not that movie. That movie has its own identity. Get your own identity. Not only are you using the theme, but you're doing like the intro credits title the same way too. That's just like, that's pathetic. It's embarrassing. And the theme, like James Gunn described it, like it's like the James Bond theme. All the Bonds have their individual themes, and have the same theme, and like
but there's a new Bond song every movie.
Exactly. So you have the James Bond like theme, but you have like the song. The songs are those movies' identities, and this one doesn't have that as well. And when I was watching Superman 1 and 2 last week, and I was watching it, every time that theme came on, I started tearing up because like that theme is like it's so tied to Reeve and Donner and like everything that happened with Reeve at near the end of his life is like it's so tragic, and so that whenever I watch the movie, that theme comes up, it's like oh my god, man. What a time, and I started tearing up. I always tear up in this one. Whenever it came up, whenever I reminded, I'm like, that's not you. That's not the emotion.
It feels like it's an emotional shortcut of like evoking of like, hey, it's kind of like when new Jurassic World movies use the Williams. Well, Williams is making bank off movies he has nothing to do with anymore now. Like when they play that Jurassic Park theme in the World movies, for a second you might be able to think that the movies are like about anything, and you're like, no, wait, these movies suck now.
I'm of two minds of this, right? Because I see what you guys are saying, and I agree. I said this on the stream I was on like 2 days ago. I haven't seen much of the OG Superman movies, but I understand the significance of them. So I get that aspect. And I think with this movie in particular, like the reason why James Gunn is able to get away with it, because like right now, well, we're going to call it what this is. Like this is a last ditch effort to make something stick with the general audiences. So why not go and pull from previous, like why not go and use another theme, you know? Why not go ahead and throw different, you know, elements of like other movies or whatnot in there? Because it's like I can see from the general public sense, it's just like, oh my gosh, yes. But for us, it's just like, all right, dog, like, you know, do a little something original. But I see the both sides of it.
I can understand what you mean, especially in a business sense, but also, you know, it's like in a human sense, it feels like, you know, when you retire a jersey, retire that jersey, you know, retire it. I'm sorry. Don't give that number out again.
Or don't just pull from the one iteration of Superman. There's been multiple. You don't have to reference all of them. Like we don't have to talk about Superman Returns, but there's been animated things or like a Smallville thing that you could reference themes or thing visuals from those. Like it does. We don't have to keep going back to like the one reference point.
I love the animated series theme. I really do. You know, that's like my favorite Superman theme.
I can't remember it at all.
Ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-ba-bum. You know, something like that.
It sounds familiar. I just never really liked that show.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I love that show. That was really like my gateway to Superman. I might have seen the movie before that, but you know, for me, that was the show that really I'm like, okay, I get Superman. Like
that kind of defined it for, and also helped establish of like, oh, so I like Batman better because the Batman animated series like fucking ate that show's long. I was like, oh well, this one show's clearly better, so I think I like one of these guys more.
No, but also I remember watching a couple of episodes. I always thought like the plot episodes are more interesting than Superman. Like, yeah, the Bizarro episode. I remember watching Bizarro episodes as a kid. The Bizarro episodes, like these are so good. If only Superman wasn't in them, you know. Like, sorry, like I want an entire episode just about Bizarro's point of view. Get this other guy out of here. And then I just didn't like it later on when I, you know, as an adult or like as a teenager, because I started reading comics and like, well, this show did not do any of these ideas that well. You know,
have you guys ever watched the George Reeves like black and white Superman show at all?
Well,
it's interesting because it's like procedural almost of like yes, for budgetary reasons there's gonna be less like Superman stuff, but it's like interesting of how it's like Lois, Jimmy, and Clark doing a lot of investigative journalism stuff, like following like the trail of some like crime thing, and then the last 5 minutes Superman shows up and punches some people, but it's mostly not that. So I was like, oh, this is actually like a pretty compelling like take on it.
I actually watched recently on a recommendation of a mutual the movie that led into the show, and that movie is amazing. And Superman the Mole Man, again, it's like you described, because it led into the show, has the same format. Like 70% of it is just like Clark and Lois, or Lois and Clark. Well, Lois and Clark just rolls all the time better. Lois and Clark doing some investigative journalism, and then like the last 30 minutes is just Superman showing up and just kicking ass, and it's like if it's so good, and that part is so good. He's just there. He's just telling everyone how stupid they are for all the crimes they're doing, and he just has no quarter for their like bumpkin ass rationalization. Like, you know what, I'm sorry, man. Why even arguing with me? I'm right, you're wrong. Get in jail. It's amazing. It's so good.
But the movie now can't be that like quote unquote quaint, because it's like we need like larger stakes. The city or universe needs to be at like it can't just be like a criminal investigation. Even though I would watch a movie of that.
Anybody see Hollywoodland? You know, the movie about
yeah.
That was, you know, it wasn't great, but I liked some of the stuff it was doing, and you know, I think like Ben Affleck was kind of cool in that role, and that's kind of funny, right? Because Ben Affleck,
the tragedy of his life. Yeah, no, it is funny that he played Batman and Superman.
Yeah, like that was,
and he slept with Superman's wife, because Diane Lane is I think she's like married to some producer, and George Reeves is with her or something at some point. But it's like, hey, wait, that's Martha. That's not your Martha. You're sleeping with Superman's mom.
Oh wow! But I will say, that kind of does bring up the fact that I've read, I think, a review or something that kind of talked about this new film as getting the fact that Superman doesn't change, but the times around him change, and I just looked at it and I'm like, oh my god, what, really? Like, you don't think Superman changes? Like, there have been so many incarnations of this character, and he has undergone all sorts of all sorts of evolution, like over what was it, like almost 100 years now. I mean, like, the character didn't even fly until, I think, the Fleischer cartoons, right? Like, I mean, in the though that I think, like, I took a class, right, where we looked at some of his, like, earlier incarnations, and things that people
I think
like to forget.
Kryptonite came from the radio show or something. Like they needed a reason for it, like just to give the actor a break. Like, you got kryptonite poisoning.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's stuff like that. I mean, they build things up gradually, but also just him as a character, right? The values that he represents, all that tended to kind of shift over periods of time. Like, I think, like, I mean, isn't the very first issue kind of like showing him about to throw a car, and like some guy is like running away in horror or whatever, right? Like, I mean, that kind of tells you, okay,
Yeah, I've seen that
maybe.
image.
Right, like so he wasn't exactly all of that iconic, maybe, and all that completely, I don't know, that sort of model image that we think of him nowadays, which is, to me, one reason why I think, like, the Zack Snyder take is completely valid. Like, you can have different incarnations of this character. He isn't just one thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's maybe my biggest takeaway from this movie, even though, like, I have issues with it, is that it kind of cemented, like, oh, you can do so many different versions of Superman, even if this one's trying to hew closer to one specific one from 5 decades ago. It's because when Man of Steel came out, I was kind of of the mind, I was like, Superman's kind of boring. I don't know what you could do with it. But then that movie's like an alien invasion movie or First Contact movie. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a cool angle for it, but there's probably nothing else cool you could do with Superman. But this has me wanting to, like, go back and read, like, Superman comics, or even, like, watch Smallville or something, because I'm like, oh, there's just so many different things you can do with this character.
There's nothing wrong about watching some Smallville. I watched it almost every other year, and it always hits, man. It's so good. Anyway,
yeah, I feel like I'd like it.
No, it's really fun. It's really fun. Even the crappy stuff is good. There's an episode, and spoiler, an episode where a bunch of cheerleaders, they decide to make a love potion made out of kryptonite, and it obviously affects Superman. And so it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it sounds like my shit.
And there's also one where, like, there's a vampire who has superpowers and so because he got superpower from kryptonite, they had to make, like, a spike out of a shard of kryptonite, and it's, like, amazing. This is great.
Is Smallville the best show ever? That sounds so good.
It's so good. It's so good, man.
They made things happen with that show. A lot of things happen.
Oh man, it's like great Silver Age bullshit. It's so good. Anyway, moving back to this bullshit. Superman, it's 2025.
Speaking of Silver Age bullshit, the hypno glasses, fuck those.
Oh my god! Like, what was the point? Like, what's so good is that if the joke was where, like, Guy Garner said, "You know what the glasses," and he means, like, actual glasses, that'd be a funnier joke than the hypno thing.
Yeah, like if the Justice Gang just knew it was Clark, like, and you don't have to invent a. I mean,
well, actually, it's from one issue from the 70s. Thank you, Tom King.
Yeah, it's like, what? Okay, but that's the thing of this movie being afraid to, like, be, like, too corny, I guess, of, like, we need to have a justification. Like, I saw an interview with David Cornsweet where he was like, I had to convince Gunn of, like, the red underwear, and Gunn kept trying to find a practical reason for it. And I think that speaks to his mindset of, like, he needs to justify these, like, comic booky things because he's afraid of, like, portraying it sincerely. Like, and Gordon Sweat's like explanation was pretty good of the pitching of like, yeah, he is dorky and what wants to come off is kind of dorky and approachable. Like that's kind of just like he's looking like a wrestler, so like, you know, kids will not be afraid to approach him, even though he's like all powerful. So it's like it makes him kind of more, you know, grounded and approachable that he has like a kind of corny costume. And it's like, yeah, but also he shouldn't have needed to be talked into that. Like you should have started from the point of like, yeah, we're doing the corny comic book thing.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie though. I ain't gonna hold you. Like I said, my history with Superman is a little different than all y'all. Y'all more seasoned. When I heard the shit about the glasses, I was like, wait, hold on. Is this real? I was like, did I get it mistaken the entire time?
It's only showed up like one time in one issue, and like the thing is, right, there's so many different explanations for this. Like 90% of the time, it's gonna be like, well, the glasses are just the glasses, you know. But then it'll be like stuff like, well, the Legion gave him technical special glasses, which where like the hypno glasses didn't come from, or like he blurs his face just a little bit so that fools your eyes a bit. You know, that also happens in the comics for an issue, and all of the things. So like, why are you pulling for things when, like, again, it never really stays one thing.
Yeah,
well, it does stay one thing, and you chose the one that's the least whimsical in your very
or Christopher Reeve, the one that they seemingly are getting all their inspiration from. They just sold it purely on performance of like
physicality.
If like, oh, he's like slouching when he's Clark, and then he stands up straight and takes off the glass. You're like, yeah, I could. It makes sense to people like, oh, that dork, like Clark, like you wouldn't think he's Superman.
I mean, yeah, but you think about it as well. Like Gunn said, he was such a big fan of Also Superman, but that is specifically taking from Reeve physicality, slouching, waist, arms, lankiness. It picks all that from Reeve. But you know, if you even look at like, you know, obviously
we barely got like any Clark in this,
and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's only like, I think Clark is only in one fucking scene. It's the first scene in the movie.
Yeah, well, it was because they kept hyping up the dynamic with Lois, so I thought there was going to be like a lot of his stuff of him at the Daily Planet, but no, just like the one scene.
No, there were, I think, at least 3 actually. I remember because
in this 2-hour movie. It's great.
Look, okay, no, but I'm just remembering that there was more than just one scene, right? Like there was him at the Bugle, I think, at least twice. There was
Daily Planet, but that's great.
I'm sorry.
I'm getting to that soon because I fucking hate the Planet cast in this one. But go ahead.
There was him in the apartment with Lois, right?
Okay, you're just talking about scenes of them together. Yeah, I meant specifically him at the Daily Planet,
or him in the Persona. You know, more or less, like him in the Persona. He doesn't really show up in the Persona. I mean, I wouldn't count him with Lois as him being like Clark Kent, or as him being Clark Kent, because he's being himself. But we're talking about the Persona of like the act he puts on, and it only shows up in the first scene at the Planet.
I would argue that the apartment scene has him kind of in both Persona. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I wouldn't agree with that at all. And
then we also had the stuff when, you know, he got his ass kicked that he was with Mom Pocket. So
again, that's not him with the Persona on. We're talking about the Persona, the act he puts on, not just him being like a regular person, but the act he puts on. Like, give me a big deal about that.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, I have a different history. So like to me, that's Clark. Like, you know,
I know that's Clark. Yeah. And we know that's Clark, you know, but like in that first scene, he's putting a persona on too. Like, oh, look, I'm disheveled. I have a large jacket. I'm like, he's putting a persona on there. Like, so if he was like regular, like suave looking Clark that he is in the other scenes where where he's alone, he could be himself, then I have no problem. But it feels like they want to have that cake. We're like, oh, look, see, here's the nerdy Clark, you know, we're only going to show him for like 5 seconds. You know, or not? Because I feel like because it's Snyder, and again, I want to bring him up again, but like Clark is Clark in whenever he's Clark. You're not like putting on an act. Like, well, people complained about that, so we got to throw him a bone now, and like, okay, that's enough. We can forget about it now. We did our part. Yeah, I
feel like you lose something by skipping. Like, I'm fine with them starting mid-story and not having to show like every origin thing, but it almost feels like they wanted to sidestep the Lois not knowing just because then that's that's like harder to write, I guess. Like it'd just be easier to be like, yeah, well, she knows already. So like, but like you could get more tension and have more excuse to have him be putting on the act if she starts off not knowing, or if that's where we begin the story. I mean, I don't know. He's already 3 years in, and how long has he been seeing her? 3 months. He probably shouldn't be telling her he's Superman 3 months in. Just wait a little bit. I mean, I'm whatever. I get too personal when I fall for people all the time, but just don't.
Pussy does things to you, homie. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Pussy does things to you. Hey, okay. I'll be saying shit real soon.
All right, so
I'll be saying I'm Superman when I'm not even.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, that's funny. 'Cause I'm reading the first Elliot S. Maggin Superman novel, the last in the Criticon, not Miracle Monday, not the famous one. Reading the first one he wrote, and in that scene when there's a flashback to Lex Luthor's childhood, he's like, oh man, I spent my childhood, I was in Smallville, the stupidest place in the world, but hey, one time Lana Lang thought I was Superboy, so she like tried to be my girlfriend, and that was pretty sweet. And like, what the fuck, man? Like this novel is great, man. It's amazing. But just move ahead a little in another direction. I really don't like the Daily Planet cast in here, mainly because they made a big deal, like, oh, we got all the Daily Planet crew, and they're just there to be like quick catchphrases and then do nothing.
For someone to Lois to bounce, so she's not talking to herself when she's like figuring things out. So they just like, okay, well, she'll be like. Yeah, like I mean, on paper, the idea of Perry White being so involved that he's going to get in Mr. Terrific's like hovercraft is like fun, but they don't do anything with that. He's just like, all right, let's go.
And that's the one that's like the only scene that he's like in focus, because in every other time he shows up, he's in the background. And like, what was the point of making a big hoopla over the Daily Planet crew if they're just there to be like just like talking heads in the background? And like what was the point? Like, and then people, say it. Steve Lombard had an actual freaking character arc and had a character impact in Man of Steel, and it's when he's there for like 2 quick lines, and like that's it. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Why even have them?
I think with the Daily Planet, I'm of two minds here with it. I see what people are saying, where they want more of the Daily Planet in the next movie. Because I agree. I think we got shortchanged a lot when it came to that. I feel like they kind of only really mattered towards the end, minus Jimmy, who was kind of like sprinkled around. But also too, like the little that we did get to see of them, I enjoyed a lot. Like I think for the most part everybody was casted well. I think they did a good job. But like I do,
they're well cast. I just wish they like did something with those people.
They needed to do more. So like I agree, we need to see. I'm not saying we need a Daily Planet movie, but like if you're gonna have,
I'm saying that let's do a Daily Planet movie with Superman.
Sure. But like
now with this cast, because I feel like this cast was specifically chosen because they just need to be like quick, like 3-second, people who can spout a catchphrase. I think.
I think we could work. I think
other than Wendell Pierce, obviously, other than Wendell Pierce. I think Wendell Pierce is a really great actor, but he's like, I feel like he was wasted. Everyone else was cast just because they didn't need to be around that long. He was wasted though. Like, what are we doing here with that character?
I feel like like I said, I think everybody was casted well. I think with time and with effort, which obviously wasn't given here,
it won't be given soon. It won't be given in the future either, because it's doing pretty well.
So yeah, I hope we get to see more of that. But I like them a lot. But I think I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I feel like I could be wrong. I don't think we got much of the Daily Planet. Much in Snyder's version. Maybe we got a little bit more.
BBS after and onward, they really didn't factor in. And again, I would rather that. We're like, hey, if they're not being important, don't include.
Just don't show them. Yeah,
exactly. Because right now, like, hey, man, why this is just so that they can get like, oh look, the comics. There's Ron Troop. The guy in the gray shirt that doesn't say anything. Oh wow!
Supporting cast feels like it is there for the serve a plot function, because like while I like the energy Mr. Terrific brings, and I think that's like a fun character, but like his like big moment that's supposed to be like his standout action scene where there's like music playing, shows up to the base, he's going out of his portals, punching people. I was like, this is kind of like a reheated leftovers version of the Yondu whistling arrow scene in Guardians 2. I thought that scene was way cooler. And not, I'm not saying I don't like Mr. Terrific. I'm just like, if you're gonna have a scene where at the end Lois goes like, "Holy shit," then he should be doing something that's like actually mind blowing, and not like kind of just like a in my opinion, a little lamer version of a scene he's already done.
I just
totally agree. And like before, sorry, Miguel, it's gonna be a quick thing. I agree, and also about that scene, the fight scene, we see like him using the T spheres to like fly around, and like if he could do that in this scene, why we have that dorky ass looking jet chair? He does that in the comics anyway. So like, why we have that dorky ass chair? Let's have him do that for the entire movie. He's doing it in this scene. Anyway, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, like, who is Cat Grant exactly, and why is she in the movie and at the Daily Planet at all? Because I mean, she just kind of shows up, and
she's there because she's a comic book character, and that way you can say, "Oh, look, Gunn is so faithful to the comics." Ah!
Yo, I ain't gonna hold you, brother. Like, I knew she was casted, but like, she did nothing to the point where just like, oh, I forgot she was there until you brought her up. I ain't gonna hold you.
Is she supposed to be Lois's friend? Like, what's her function at the like office dynamic? Like, what's she supposed to be doing?
That's a good question.
I thought she was maybe supposed to be like eye candy because I mean,
she's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah,
well, it's really just because they need these names. Again, why was Ron Troop even there? He doesn't say anything. He wasn't announced. He didn't get his own poster because he doesn't say anything, and he's just there because people recognize the name Ron Troop. It's really is the most cynical thing.
Yeah, because Cat Grant is a legitimate reporter, if I'm not mistaken, in the comics. So like, I was assuming when we saw Cat Grant, she'd play more of like an active, reporting role. Maybe she'd be the person you see on the screen reporting on everything. But like, she was just there. I mean, it was great when she was there, like especially in IMAX. My God, she's gorgeous. But other than that, like, that was screen time that probably could have been used for something else, even if it wasn't much.
Yeah, I agree. There's and now that I've realized, like, yeah, it does feel a little cynical that it's like to just have these characters there just so you can have someone say their name and then we just move on. And it's like, well, that's not really being comic accurate. Not that that's like the metric for a good movie anyway, but it's like if you're gonna use the character, use the character, or you either do that or like early 2000s superhero movies used to do like throwaway things all the time where a character would die and then you find out their name was someone like isn't like the scientist that Green Goblin kills in the lab, like the first guy he kills after he takes the serum, like he's named something who's like someone in comics, but it's like, yeah, we don't need him actually in the story, so he's dead now. Like we're just throwing that out there. It's like that's almost just like a bone.
You could have used the better example, and you know which example you could have used.
Which one?
Jimmy Olsen. I'm sorry, but that's perfect for me. Like, there's no role for Jimmy in the story, and there won't
Snyder
be any
had no use for him, and then he shot him in the face.
Yeah, so why not? Like, why not? I never saw people so upset about that. Like, there's no point. There's not gonna be any role for Jimmy moving ahead. Why not just use him like that? Why not? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time to kill Jimmy Olsen.
Although him being a CIA plant is kind of an interest. Like, if you didn't kill, have a Jimmy who doesn't get killed, and he's just like a spy at the planet, like that could be, and that's more interesting than him being a fuckboy.
Exactly. I was gonna segue into that, saying like, and I just wish that this new Jimmy got shot in the face too, because he sucks. He's the worst character in the entire movie. He's like the thing is, right, and it's like so strange, and Morrison gets in on this too, even though Morrison was usually really good about Jimmy, especially in Also Superman, where like, for some reason there's this idea that Jimmy needs to be cool to hang out with Superman, or that Jimmy is cool, therefore he does cool things. When actually Jimmy's fun and interesting and cool because he does all this crazy Jimmy Olsen stuff. You know, not just because he's cool.
It feels like an overcorrection in the same way of how previous Batman adaptations are like afraid or don't know what to do with Rob. They're like, how do we make Robin cool? So like Batman Forever, they're like, yeah, he's like fucking doing motorbike stuff and he's like doing street races and he's fucking look how cool he is. Like they're like overdoing it, trying to be like, no, Robin's cool, man. Or Nolan just being randomly like, yeah, I don't know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Robin. Don't worry about it. They're just afraid to just use the character, so they have to like figure out some workaround or thing. It's like, okay, well, just don't use them if you don't want to. You know, it shouldn't be a thing you have to solve because it's like he doesn't need to be there, so just don't have him if you can't like figure it out.
It's great. Go ahead. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, I also feel like some of these choices was just to satisfy as many people as possible, but without actually thinking about, you know, what are the consequences of that? Because it's like, yeah, you know, cool. I'm starting to see what the gripes are with the Daily Planet, even though I do like the cast and I do think they were, you know, done well. Well, it should casted well, but like, yeah, I think in my head, James Gunn is worried about, like, okay, if I don't do this, that's another complaint. If I don't do this, that's another complaint. If I don't do this, that's another complaint.
People hated it when Jimmy's died, so here he is. He's very alive. He's here in the movie.
He's so cool. He's so cool and popular and sexy.
Yeah, so it's almost just like Gunn and Co is just kind of worried about, you know, what the potential backlash could be instead of worrying about, okay, like, what about the substance? Like, I think if you have more substance, you can get away with maybe not having a character or two. You know what I'm saying? Well, and like I said, divulging that screen time you're using for set characters for something else, you know, to make the story stronger.
I agree, and I just like creative decisions shouldn't be coming from a place of fear where you're like worried about like tell the story that you think will be a good story, and people will connect with it because it's good. Like, who gives a fuck if some people online? He's maybe a little too. Maybe he should like not be worried about what people are gonna tweet about certain things and just like.
You said maybe he is, bro. He is.
But you can't look. I'm sorry. You can't really not take fan reception into account these days. I mean, you try to do like a great story, you know, with say a franchise like Star Wars, and people are gonna complain, you know, like about like, oh, not my Luke Skywalker, or you know,
The Last Jedi made a lot of money. I mean, it's not like
it did, but you know, like, but the backlash to that, I mean, even though it was like I guess like a relatively minor number of people, but still, you know, they created noise. It became like a whole thing. There were even people in the entertainment industry itself. I mean, I've seen screenwriters actually complain about Luke Skywalker's portrayal. You know what I'm saying? And you know, there are articles about how, okay, studios are afraid of, you know, alienating fans or causing fan controversies, because then you know, like, there are going to be massive online hate campaigns or petitions or whatever, and then it's like
but the writing those articles just reinforces the idea that does matter. Like they outrage, like it feels like a self-perpetuating thing where it's like we could just not worry about the backlash. Let's not like say that it's gonna be a thing we need to worry about and just make the good movie, you know.
I wish like they could do that, you know. It's just
I think they can. I think they should just like go into a pocket universe, write the script where you can't hear anyone else, and then come out and be like, I have a Superman script.
Yeah. And here's my thing, right? So I think there is a place where fans' voices should matter. And, you know, cool, you spend some time like really looking at thorough reviews. I'm going to say it here. I don't think Twitter, of all places, is a good place to look at reception. But I think there's other places where, you know, you get like very detailed, nuanced, and just like sensible, you know, critiques. Go based on those. And then, you know, do what homie just said here. Go in a little pocket universe somewhere, turn off the computer, and just write. But then you do so in a way that's meaningful. You try to you take some of those complaints and some criticisms into consideration, and you just put out the best possible product you can. And either way, there's gonna be people that's gonna complain.
Right, that's the thing. It's like you can't avoid that. Like people are just gonna bitch online regardless.
But when you hear those complaints, it's it's all right, it's all cool, because deep down inside you knew you put out a good product. And I feel like us and a lot of other people, like some people will know something is genuine when it comes out. You know, it's like, you know what, okay, cool. Like you can see they corrected on some things, and there's plenty of examples of this, guys.
You can feel the sincerity in the filmmaking usually, yeah.
So, like, I think there is a place for online. There's a place for fans to have a voice, but in the case of Gunn, it's me and Elvis had this conversation literally 2 or 3 weeks ago. It gets to a point where it's a little bit too much, and then you start to see it in the product.
He's a head of a studio. He should just not be on Twitter. Like that, have someone whose job it is to like look at reactions for that, but like not himself. Maybe should not be doing that.
He's writing Superman. I feel like if you're gonna go for it, go for it. You're writing Superman. In fact, you're writing Superman the movie. He's very proud of it. Like, oh man, we can't call it Superman Legacy. That kind of Superman just has a lot more impact, more power as a name. If you need Superman as the movie, go for it. Otherwise, they should have just kept this called. They should kept calling it Superman Legacy, because at the end of the day, it feels like a Superman Legacy. I don't feel like Superman the movie.
Yeah, if you named the Action Comics, I would have been mad.
Yeah, something like that, right? But as I mentioned, the Jimmy stuff is just so bad, and I just hate it. I hate all of it. And, it feels like again, when Morrison, he did a really great issue of All-Star Superman with Jimmy. We're like, for Jimmy just doing all this crazy stuff all the time, and he just comes off like a really laid back, kind of interesting guy, because he's always open to everything, And then when he wrote, later, the Action Comics comic, which is a great comic overall, he decided, well, actually, Jimmy Olsen needs to be like a rich playboy who's just doing Daily Planet stuff as a hobby, because otherwise, how else would you expect him to be friends with Superman? He'd be a real important kind of guy. Like, no, why? How did you miss the point of your own comic?
I mean, if Clark is like a big dork, like wouldn't it make sense that if Jimmy's supposed to be like his best friend shouldn't be like someone who's cool, right?
Oh, no, actually, no. This is my other thing. It's something that no one will ever agree on. I do not think Clark and Jimmy should even be close enough in age or even friends. Right? I don't think Clark and Jimmy should be friends. He's Superman's friend. He's not Clark's friend. He should be like
either one, because he doesn't interact with either one.
I know, it's crazy. No, it's crazy in this movie too. Like why even have Jimmy in this movie other than to be, I don't know, sexist?
I will just say one theory I have is that Jimmy is kind of like the Star-Lord of this of Superman in a way. You know what I'm saying? He's like sort of like the guy with the quote unquote penile sorcery or whatever, who kind of treats women like trash. But kind of is somewhat useful or whatever, and then maybe the whole arc of his character might be in the future that like, oh, okay, he's probably gonna become like a quote unquote better person or whatever and settle down or whatnot.
I know I hate about the ending of the movie. Okay, is that it kind of like I would have hoped her ending for me would be Eve, realizes that Jimmy is an asshole and punches him in the face. I've been the best ending for me, I thought. Great capstone on his arc. But instead,
need him in the nuts, and then everyone would have cheered.
Something like that, right? That'd been great. But instead, she like jumps on Jimmy, starts crying, like, "Oh my god, I'm so glad we'll be forever." And Jimmy's like, "Huh."
Yeah, it's weirdly
piece of shit.
Weirdly that's another point that's completely like feels weirdly unresolved and just kind of I don't know, like there was no real thought put into it,
Like it's kind of jarring seeing like the parallels, because I'm reading the current Superman book right now, and Jimmy is actually in a pretty loving relationship right now. Like he's not out here being a player. He's with I think there's like 2 or 3 of them running around. Banshee, whatever the fuck her name is, Silver Banshee. And it's seeing that Superman movie yesterday and just like seeing like how Jimmy is now, and even what I knew of Jimmy before, which was just he's a to me at least, Jimmy just seems like a nice but cool guy. Like this felt like maybe an overcorrection. I don't know, but I didn't feel Jimmy. Even though I was entertained by this Jimmy, it didn't feel like Jimmy to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't used to Jimmy just like, being a guy who.
But he has like reddish hair and freckles. Perfect. He's perfect.
It didn't feel. It felt like Jimmy in name, and I think, and the thing is, like, again, this is where I'm conflicted, right? Because I'm seeing all of the praise. I'm seeing all of the praise for this movie. Like, it seems like there's no bad. Like, and I get it. This is the high of new release or whatever. Cool, it's selling well, but I feel like over time, when people actually sit with this movie, I'm not gonna say people are gonna turn, but little things like that are gonna start to poke out a little more.
I mean, you're already seeing some backlash to that storyline specifically of like, come on, what were they doing with Jimmy and Eve? It feels like because like that actor is very funny and comically gifted. They want to give him a funny storyline. Wouldn't it be funny if he just has like the kind of golly gee demeanor and there's just like crazy shit happening around? Like, isn't that how Jimmy Olsen stories usually go? Is that like he's just a normal guy, but then like the wildest shit happens to him?
Yeah. So again, we'll see, but yeah, it didn't feel like it to me, and like I think if you're a casual person, a casual fan at this point, who you only have the bare bones knowledge of these characters, I think this works for you. I think creative decisions like that work. You know what I'm saying? Especially like when you've been riddled with quote unquote bad for so long. So when you see something that's like a little different, but you have guys like us who are a little bit more seasoned, there's always gonna be that weird little contrast. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're a little bit more critical about it, but like the regular person, like, oh, I have a base knowledge of Jimmy. Oh my God, Jimmy is a womanizer. This is great. This is awesome. You see what I'm saying?
Because all they know is like, oh, Jimmy is like the super cool guy. See, he has like a bunch of comics. So don't you understand? This is perfect adaptation.
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
But like, if you actually read those comics, there's a reason why he's cool, and it's not because he decided that women should be dumped because they're crazy stalker bitches.
Yeah. So again,
ugly toes. What a piece of shit. He was like,
the way she saved, like it
in his contacts.
Lois should have been calling. Like Lois should be disgusted by him if that's going to be the characterization of like. I mean, she's like kind of dismissive of him at times, but like if he was like a womanizer and she would know it from working with him, she should be like, "Fuck you, Jimmy." Like that's how she would treat that Jimmy Olsen.
I mean, sorry, like monster toes and like it's just isn't like Gunn like 60 years old? What the fuck is he doing writing this shit?
Yeah, it feels kind of right, like maybe like the kind of a frat party kind of joke, like frat party humor kind of thing. I feel that's what it comes off as. But honestly, I don't think there is really a truly coherent character with this incarnation of Jimmy. It's almost like, okay, maybe they didn't really know what to do with that character, so it's just like, oh, okay, let's try to throw a bunch of these different things at the wall and see what sticks, and maybe we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, like, do you guys like that? If he's like a fuckboy, do you guys like? Okay, you do like that. Okay, so we'll put more of that in the next one.
Oh, who knows? So, maybe he'll be more evolved. In the next one. Who knows?
He should be woke, like really woke, like go in the other direction.
Jimmy with a kufi. I'd watch that. I'd watch the fuck out of
that. So what else to say? Have we gone over most of this stuff? Because again, it's a very slight movie. I think we've gone over most of the things about it. Other than yeah, go ahead.
I have an idea. What about Crypto? What did people think of?
Oh, okay. So why was he Supergirl's dog? I don't understand. Why was he Supergirl's dog? Makes no sense.
to just set him up for her movie? Is that the reason? To just have it be like, okay, so she's back and he'll be with. But like, do you need to have that explanation of like, it's like, okay, well, they both kind of co-own the dog. Like, can't that be the case instead of it just being her? I don't know. Like, is there going to be in the movie, her movie, some plot justification for that? Maybe.
I can't remember because it's been a while since I read it. If he played a big role in that story, I don't think so. I'll talk about Woman of Tomorrow. I don't remember. It's been a while, but
are they still calling it Woman of Tomorrow? Or are they just calling it Supergirl?
Oh, so Supergirl. Excuse me.
They decided to just call it Supergirl.
It's just Supergirl, yeah. So,
yeah.
They de-legacied it, just like with Sue. Like remove the legacy. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I like crypto. Like I feel we haven't gotten a crypto in a live action movie in a minute, or even in the TV show, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought he was fun. I thought he was useful. I think I like the whole little whistle thing. You know, when it was cool seeing Superman have a little sidekick around. You know, that wasn't, you know, like another super. So
his chaotic nature felt like one of the more gun-like things in the movie, in a movie that didn't feel like as gun as it could be in other way. That he's kind of just like is like a little chaotic monster of like Superman even has the line of like, I didn't want to leave him at my parents' place because he might kill their cow. Like of the concern of like you have no control over this thing really. Like you can whistle for him, but he's very destructive.
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, he's fun. Now, let's see here. I don't know, man. So it's so slight. Okay, one thing I'm scared of saying. Okay, Hawk Girl. We already talked how stupid it is that she kills the not Netanyahu, right? Because like they're getting
I don't know
because we've talked about because the story never develops it. You know?
Yeah, I'm not saying in principle I'm okay.
I'm okay for killing him. That's a Hawk person thing to do. You know, killing the bad guy. I don't give a shit. But also, like the movie is trying to be like very, just kind of what we said. The movie is trying to be very kind of easygoing, very free going. You have a character doing that, and then like. Develop it, or otherwise it just feels like it's underwritten and
there's no consequence of it.
Exactly.
She just killed a world leader, so
right, exactly. So again, I think that's stupid. I'm not saying that the act is stupid, but like the movie is stupid for not doing anything with it, But also, it's so funny how like the last year and a half, we're like, well, actually, when you call this Hawk Girl, Sierra, you're wrong. She's called Kendra. And like, well, one, they don't even fucking mention her name in the movie because she's a prop, not a character in this thing. Okay,
she has the least characterization of all the Justice Gang.
It is ridiculous.
Gardner has way more personality. Like
Agreed.
she's just a Hawk Girl.
so what I'm going to say here is, and I really believe this, at least in some sense. Okay, is that I always found those kinds of distinctions kind of ridiculous and really not important to even have, because unless a movie or show is going to go really deep into the weeds with Hawk lore and why that distinction even matters, it doesn't matter whether or not a Hawk Girl is called Kendra or Sierra. You can just use the names interchangeably, unless the movie or show is actually going to go really deep into it. Then whatever. This Hawk Girl is a Hawk Girl. Name her whatever you want to name her. It doesn't fucking matter.
You know why that you want to know why that was such a thing?
Why?
Like because of online. That's exactly why. Because when I like I said, I thought she was cool, but then
I would have liked more of her and her actually having an arc. Yeah.
And I thought she was cool, but at the end of it all, I was just like, oh, they made a big thing about her, knowing her shit, only for that to not really, it never came up. No, it did not come up once. I was like, oh, so what was all this pissing and moaning about in like the pats on the back for if we never really talked about, who it was and what it meant? I was like, oh, okay, this seems like it's more. We need to satisfy people who would.
Is there a Hawk person movie coming? Was that set? Or they're not going to follow up on her?
No. So I mean, she eats Fritos in the next season of Peacemaker, and she burps. I think so. Hooray!
Something could happen basically if this movie is a hit, right? Because it's kind of like a follow movie, right? Like it introduces this new incarnation of the Justice Gang League, whatever, right? So so if this movie does well enough, yeah, they'll probably try to build from it. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like, oh, okay, they're going to do a Mr. Terrific movie or show, or
I think they've already said they're considering a Mr. Terrific and maybe a Jimmy spinoff. So like, I feel they're really feeling out like, oh, do you guys want more of that?
A Jimmy spinoff where he dies at the end, preferably by suicide.
the first scene, the first episode, someone shoots him.
I think who shot Jimmy? But like, just who shot Jimmy Olsen? Who shot Jimmy Olsen?
Fire shoulder. Hold on, time out. Hell yeah.
Shoots him in the dick, like in you.
Oh my god!
Come on.
And who shot him? It's the CIA Jimmy from the Snyder.
Yes.
Hold on. No, we laughing, but this is an extension of the Snyderverse. That could very well be possible.
He made it across the universe barrier.
The multi-universe is real. Yeah, I mean, we're good. We've already established Blue Beetle kind of exists in both worlds. Peacemaker maybe also. Yeah.
No, Peacemaker definitely does. I mean, he has a cameo like on television.
Yeah, no, he's in this. I guess I just meant of like how much of the content. Well, because season 1, if I'm remembering correctly, other than the Justice League cameo, doesn't have a ton tying it to. It's just like they got to deal with an alien invasion, and it has some of the supporting cast from the Suicide Squad, but it's not. Even that movie was kind of tenuous of like, wait, is this directly following the other Suicide Squad and like Birds of Prey? Because Harley doesn't reference like that stuff. So from my memory at least, so like they kind of is in this nebulous area where they can easily fold that in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think season 1 is more of like that nebulous era, because I mean, for fuck's sake, they even mentioned Green Arrow. So, which is like in a completely different, sphere, in the DC stuff. But if I'm not mistaken, Gunn said there is either at the top of season 2, there's gonna be a distinction between, the previous era and this era. So I don't know, maybe when
his white supremacist dad is alive again.
Something like that. So when Barry fucked up the timeline, racist dad came back and somehow he made
God damn it, Barry. That's how bad the Flash was. It's fucking up about other shows.
Wait a minute, isn't already wasn't one of the government guys in Superman named General Flag? So presumably
that's
senior.
That's the guy. He showed up already in Creature Commandos. And it's gonna be in Peacemaker season 2. Yeah, to get revenge.
Okay, so Rick Flag is his son or something? Is that the idea?
Yes. Because Rick Flag was always named Rick Flag Jr. He was when Suicide Squad came out, the original Suicide Squad that people remember, it was actually a legacy comic from a war comic that DC did ages before that, where it had a Rick Flag on the team, and then there's a new Suicide Squad we're doing in the 80s. This one people remember, Amanda Waller one. You have a character there, Rick Flag Jr. Okay, so it's a legacy comic based on like a fucking Sergeant Rock style comic they did before.
Man, I wish we were still getting that Guadagnino Sergeant Rock. That'd be cool. Because I want to believe that this universe will be, even based on like, I think you were right, Elvis, at the top when you're like, this feels like them establishing a template that they can like reuse for either sequel or other heroes. I really don't want it to be like, that's where I want this to be different from the MCU of like, I mean, MCU, like, there's like maybe like 2 directors, like Gunn included, who they would let like kind of do their own thing, but mostly there's just the house style. So like, I want DC to be just like, yeah, you have a vision, do your thing, and then we'll figure out how it fits. Like, I really, really want that to be the case, but I don't know how likely that is, especially with the success of this. If this reaches just a certain level, I feel like this is just going to be everything has to answer to this now. Like, even I'm sure there's executive back and forth of like, can we fold in Pattinson? Come on. I mean, Gunn has said Reeves and I forget the co-writer's name. They have a script for Batman Part 2, but I think executives in Zaslav probably wants to, like, come on, let's just have there be one Batman. Let's not do all this. Like, I don't want them to be in this. To be clear, I'm against that. Like, keep them. So I think it. I don't need connected universes, Like, I when it works, it can be cool, but like the novelty of that is I'm so over that, and I just want there to be good movies and good stories. Like, the Batman, the first one is one of the best things is how self-contained it is. Like, that it's completely its own. Like, you can build out that world.
I mean, these studios know at this point as well, because the entire selling point for Fantasy 4 is it's not connected to anything. That's the entire selling point of that movie. Like, it's totally its own thing. You don't have, you can just go into it.
They have color in this universe. We didn't make them shoot it all gray.
Okay, come on, though. It is connected to Thunderbolts. It is connected to Avengers.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. The selling point of it is that it's its own thing. Like, we're doing an entirely different thing with this one. It's the entire selling point.
Even though this universe will probably not make it to the end of the movie, it's its own thing, guys. Don't worry about it.
I think to answer the question though, and I can't remember if I was talking to Elvis about it or the other guys. We just got to pay attention to the box office of Superman, because I feel like if Superman does well, which it looks like it's going to do good, I think we'll be straight. And then we got to see what the Batman 2 looks like, how that does. So I think if Superman is a success, Superman 2 is a success, and the Batman 2 is a success, I think we're safe in regards to, okay, we don't need to connect them. But we saw this before. If the numbers start looking a little funny, that we rinse and repeat. We're gonna have to start having different conversations, because I feel like it's in the back of their mind, and they want to see how these things hold up by themselves before they pull the trigger. Because I feels like everybody's on point, everybody's on board upstairs with just blending them together, but they're again worried about
they don't want to do that if there would be backlash.
Exactly. But financially, if it looks like they need to do it, best believe. Will it be janky as fuck? Sure. And is there a part of my mind that wonders how these two would interact? Of course.
Yeah, I mean, the juxtaposition would be fun of like how self-serious he is versus this Clark's like optimism. Sure, like that's fun. I just think that the Batman Reeves versus just feels like such a fully realized world that I never would imagine other heroes flying around in it.
No,
like,
who would want to?
Other than other Bat family people, like if you want to expand it, like how they've already had a Penguin spinoff. I think the writer of that said they're maybe writing something for another Batman. It's like, fine, expand it in a Batman world way, but like keep it to that.
Exactly, agreed.
Since we're talking crossover possibilities, I will say this. I was kind of hoping, just watching Superman, I kind of wondered, man, would this movie be interesting or maybe better if they actually tied it into the Snyderverse by revealing Ultraman as like Henry Cavill? Like,
no,
he takes that.
No.
I don't know.
No, because the thing is right. Unless they're going to make that connection to Earth 3, just have it be Bizarro. Because I feel like we should just the sequel should ignore that he was ever called Ultraman if they inevitably bring him back, and if he's just Bizarro, he has to be a clone. Ultraman can look different, Sometimes Ultraman doesn't look anything like Superman. So if he's a clone, just have it be Bizarro.
Yeah, it's just such a weird Surf Dracula kind of thing that we need to set up him becoming bizarre. Like, just have him be Bizarro. Don't do the Ultraman thing. Or if you want to do Ultraman, then pick one.
Yeah, I heard some people talk about this before in last couple of days. We're like, well, it doesn't really matter because Ultraman and Bizarro are the same kind of character. There's no evil Superman. Like, that is not the same thing. One, Bizarro is a tragic Superman. Okay. Two, the entire conceit is different. He's imperfect clone. The other one is from an evil universe. Different ideas. Played
I'm not even a
differently.
Superman expert, and I know that.
That's
I hope
what it goes back to. Like, again, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's what it goes back to. It's people who have a very surface level idea, not sort of the surface level knowledge of Superman and the lore. So then when they see things like this, it blows their fucking mind. And then you have people like me in the movie theater who is face palming. I was face palming for the last 20 minutes. I'm like, yo, dog, stop calling him Ultraman. Stop calling him Ultraman.
Well, if you're gonna make his identity be like a mystery box, there's no interesting reveal. I mean, it's like, yeah, okay, I would have guessed that it's a clone. Like, why did you make that a mystery? Like, just have Luthor say he cloned him. Like, I don't know. Like, why? The reveal of an like, I don't even know that you would need to obscure his identity if we did the alternate universe evil Superman thing either. I
exactly.
It's like, why do any of that?
I mean, you could have, if you wanted to do Ultraman, you could have just done a simple thing where, like, he went to the pocket universe, he found a different Earth there, and had that be Earth 3, and like he kind of makes a deal with them to take over Earth if they kill Superman for him, something like that.
Since the costume was purple, I thought they were going to do like a parasite where like he saps Superman's powers and he's disguising himself so that he can fly around and do Superman stuff. But and also that what was that weird monster thing that was operating the levers in the pocket universe?
Who cares? It was called he called him Charon, which is like a reference to the river Styx.
I mean, that's cute, but I would like to know if there's an actual character.
Okay, so when I saw that, I thought, wait a minute, I think that's a Martian, or at least that's what it looked like. What I think a Martian would look like in the DC universe. No, like that was my impression. I thought they also referenced Martians, so I assumed that the ferryman character himself was like a Martian or something.
I really had nothing to go off of like what which I'm fine with, like having a world building where it's like you just pepper things in, but it's like when you show enough of a thing, it's still gonna make me ask questions of like, okay, so what was that? Like without even, you don't have to stop the movie to like give a full backstory, but I mean, just plenty of exposition in this movie. They could have just thrown a line of like where Luthor found whatever that is, or if it was like a failed experiment or something. Because when those pictures of it were leaking, I was like, oh, is this their version of like Parasite's like first form or something? And then he like starts changing when he absorbs stuff. Like, I don't know, but like, yeah, he's not that. It doesn't seem like he's supposed to be like any big Superman character, right?
Yeah, y'all think Gunn read Forever Evil? No, let's have this conversation. Y'all think he read Forever Evil?
I do not think he read Forever Evil. I don't. He's a masterpiece, so I don't think he did. Because otherwise, why would you use Ultraman like that when Ultraman could be like a really great character and an interesting villain?
I think somebody either didn't read Forever Evil or just did the clip notes of it and handed him the notes. He said, "You gotta put that in there." I think that's what happened. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I think that's what happened.
But speaking of this, because I want to say, like, I feel if you hear like the rumors around that Superman 2 is going to be like another more like there'll be cameos still. It's not to be focused on Superman solely, but I feel like that would be wrong way to play it, because I feel like, yeah, we got the stuff out of the way. Let's do something interesting next time and just make a Superman movie. It's a Superman movie, and especially since the only thing of interest that they set up in this one is Bizarro, himself. Like and it's Bizarro because Lex mentioned that Lex mentions that he's dumb, and then the only time we hear him do anything is like her before he just slams into the black hole. So it's obviously Bizarro, and I feel like the next movie should be a solo movie about Bizarro World,
or just a full act of Bizarro. We start in Bizarro World and like throw people. You've already got people in the seats. They like the first one, so you can do like a full on a whole act without Superman, where people are like, "Wait, where are we?"
Yeah. You have a Bizarro World, and it's like things are just a little off, and then you realize, wait, this is the guy. This is past the black hole, and he's just like living as Superman on this world. But again, I feel like that'd be the best way to do it because one, it would be able to get rid of that thing where like he doesn't relate to the clone. So you could have a thing where his adventure on Bizarre World and he has to actually relate to the clone,
And
understand
it'll
it.
make us care about the audience because it seems like we're
Mhm.
not supposed to feel anything in this one of like, fuck that clone.
Exactly. But also it'd be a great way to like parallel and deal with the Kryptonian stuff. I'm gonna say Kryptonite stuff. Damn you. Yeah, the Kryptonian stuff, the Jor-El, because you have Bizarro who's cloned by Lex, and then to conquer and be like this weapon. Then you have Jor-El in this version who's like, Superman, be a weapon and conquer Earth, you know? And you can have
Rejecting your original purpose.
exactly. So he and Bizarro teaming up, or having an adventure on Bizarro World. They help each other, and they help each other become better, like grow past that. And I feel like that would be a great plot for a sequel that follows off, like kind of fine from this one. But again, he's like, well, he's kind of been hinting that it's going to be more like a cameo thing, and like, don't do that, please. Just do this one thing. Just do this one thing, and I'm on board with your 10-year plan or whatever. But just don't do this one thing.
Because didn't someone already post a response from him on something where someone was like, so when can we expect a Superman 2? And he said, like, define 2.
Exactly.
It was like, okay, come on, man. Don't do exactly. That's exactly what people had issue with the Snyder, that they went straight to like a Batman team up. And it's like, come on, let's just have a sequel.
Yeah, just have a sequel. You know, you have a franchise, right?
And
I
again,
would like sorry.
Oh no, go, brother, go.
No, I
go,
mean, I would like there to be a sequel, you know, but I think it's hard nowadays, especially because of all of the, you know, like the MCU is like what, like 15 years ahead of them now, right? So it's like every time they reboot the DC properties, right? Like they are trying to, I think, still to catch up to that point where it's like, okay, we have a fully established universe with all these characters, right? I mean, so many of the DCEU movies were all about, okay, let's throw in a bunch of people there already and then spin them off like later, you know. So I highly doubt we will actually get like an actual sequel that's like a sequel. It'll be like even if it's called Superman 2, it would still be like a Justice League movie, basically, you know.
Well, they shouldn't be trying to play catch up with the
MCU, right?
Because that just doesn't math out. So.
Exactly. And also, like, people are trying MCU right now too. People are.
And also too, like a couple of things. One, things change. You know, we see things change. So, you know, we could get lucky, and you know, maybe this isn't it. And also too, what's this new schedule that they got going on? What is it? One animated joint, 2 something in a movie. They have some schedule they're trying to commit to right now.
Yeah, like 2 movies a year, 1 show, 1 animated show or something.
Yeah,
and it's like it's starting to look very because that was like when Disney Plus started. Feige was like, all right, we're doing like 3 movies a year. We got 2 show, and then that's the fatigue really said. I mean, I was already feeling the fatigue by the time we get to like Endgame. I'm like, yes, let's end this. But I think adding the shows and like making it all so, or at least pretending like it's interconnected, because the shows really don't matter as far as the movies go in the MCU, which is probably good. Like all these projects should be able to stand alone on their own, and you can just pick and choose which characters you're into and want to see. Like you shouldn't be giving the audience like homework of like they need to see all this stuff or they're going to be lost when the Justice League movie comes out.
Yeah, because the reason why I throw that in, because it's like I know we're tossing around, you know, a Bizarro World or something like that. I mean, okay, let's have some fun here. Okay, what if one of those shows later down the line before the Superman 2 movie is what's going on with, you know, Ultraman? I'm not calling this motherfucker Ultraman.
Yeah,
It's what's going on, you know, with you know, Bizarro, you know, him possibly coming around, and maybe, you know, you throw Superman in there, and you know, even if it's like a little mini series, but you know, make it so that it's something of substance, something that people want to watch. So then maybe if we are going to do a Superman 2 that's, you know, cameo filled, it's a little bit more justified, because at least then in that TV series, you know, you really keep it focused there. maybe you throw some other Daily Planet stuff in there as well. You know, try to make it do like a little mini series, something that holds up. So then by the time you get Superman 2, there's a little bit more legwork that you did, and then people might be a little bit more forgiving if they see a couple more characters come in. That's just me tossing ideas around, because it's like, if you're gonna give us that nonsense, then at least make it worth something. You know what I'm saying? Make it work to your advantage.
I get what you're saying. Of like, if you must, then like make it count. I would just prefer like just do a longer movie and have all the stuff that I need in the Superman 2, so I can just watch that movie, see the Bizarro World stuff, and then just get the full thing. Because I feel like a lot of my issues with this movie would be you could just add more. Well, it's what they're choosing to give screen time to, but let's say you don't want to cut any of those things, then just add like another half hour or something so you can flesh out some more of those things.
Yeah, that's fair, because I mean, this movie was literally a little over 2 hours. You could have threw a little something more in there. I wouldn't be mad at it. I still had a great time regardless.
Yeah, but I want to say one thing. It's not even related to this. I just want to say it because we moved past where I would have said it. I think the worst case scenario would be if the black hole led to Earth 3 and beam Ultraman on there, because I feel like Ultraman has to come from Earth 3. Otherwise, it's just boring. It's a nice little piece there. I'm done.
I 100% agree, and I think at this point, it's okay if you don't touch it, period, or you don't touch it until later down the line. Yeah, because
I do think it'd be pretty funny though if the way to introduce the actual Ultraman is if there's a fight scene and you think it's between Superman and like someone else, and you realize that Ultraman is fighting a clone that Alexander Luthor created called Superman, and he kills him. So that way it's the inverse. So I feel like that would be the only way you can bring the name Ultraman back in a way that makes sense, and not if you had him like if you're fighting a clone called Superman.
It's kind of like Shang-Chi was like, no, the real Mandarin was.
God. Don't piss me off, dog. Don't piss me off, dog.
I'm an Iron Man 3 defender all the way, so yeah, I'm fine with whatever nonsense they did.
I like both Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi, except for the fact that they never let Shang-Chi kill anybody. He's like, they always just pull the knife out of his hand, which is a shame.
And the final fight of like, it's like the whole juice is the father-son conflict, and then he just has to fight like a giant CG dragon at the end, where I'm like, okay, well, I'm zoning out now. Like, you have some actual martial arts happen, because you've already shown cool choreographed stuff, and I don't need people flying through the air throwing magic at dragons. Like, I just don't need that.
No, but again, they don't want to let the character get his hands dirty, right? He's not the one who actually kills the Mandarin, right? Like, the Mandarin gets killed by a demon or something, right?
Right. But even though, like, a son having to kill his own father is like so dramatically juicy and would be like good.
Exactly. And he's supposed to be like an assassin who has this whole trauma, right? Like, from having been forced to murder somebody as a kid, which happens off screen, by the way. So.
I mean, we were talking about the same universe where Hulk's development and his trauma will never ever be addressed, and we're just going to see him like in other people's movies where you like dabs and stuff. So
hey, you just got Bucky. Wow, so similar. Anyway, we're off topic here because I think we're pretty much done with Superman because it's a boring movie that has something to say.
Did we like Metamorpho?
I forgot he was in the movie. He was fine.
He was fine. Yeah, it's more like he's like a character who I think is more functional than anything. Like, I didn't really relate to him.
Like a lot of the characters in this, it's like they fulfill a specific plot function, and I thought he was just gonna fuck off into the night with Baby Joey, and we never saw. So when he shows back up again to help the Justice Gang, I was like, okay, well, at least I guess they're giving him something. But yeah, it doesn't feel like anything from a character standpoint other than like, oh, we need to.
Right, he's a prop. A lot of these characters are props, so I'm going to give them points for getting these characters in because you're not characters; you're just there to fill a seat,
and maybe add some visual interest, because I mean his powers look kind of cool, right? Like he can create.
Oh yeah, no, they're very cool. They're very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
This movie's cool. It's a cool movie. Is it interesting? I don't know.
No, it's not that interesting, but I mean it's got a lot of.
It gestures in a lot of interesting stuff. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
look at that over there. It's cool, right?
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's kind of how it operates. So maybe okay, I think it'll probably do well enough to appeal to a whole bunch of people and not offend sensibilities, right? Like they never I don't think they ever do anything that's truly as offensive as, say, like having, you know, like two gods battle each other and demolish enough buildings to kill like thousands of people.
To do like 10 9/11s on Metropolis.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I did want to just go back to the talk about length and everything, and this is something that I've noticed, but I definitely believe.
Yeah, you phrased that weirdly.
What?
You should have put a pause in front of that, my brother. You should have put a pause in front of that.
No, I just wanted to say I wanted to talk about budget, because this movie clearly, in my mind, has a lower budget than some of the previous DC films. You know, and what I've noticed is Warner seems to be consciously like cutting back on expenditure. So it's not surprising to me that this movie was only like 130 minutes, whereas, you know, before we would be getting these like, you know, 2.5 hours, like maybe 2:45, something like that. So I don't think they can actually afford to make them much longer anymore, you know, just because of, you know, COVID and all of that stuff.
I get what you're saying, but then we could just trim the. I know this won't fly for general audience. It's like just trim some of the fights and like use that time for like character stuff. Like that's what I want the extra screen time for. Is not like you still got to pay the actors to be there, but it's not like I don't need more runtime of like world-ending stakes or like buildings collapsing. Like give me some like quiet character stuff.
Yeah, that's what's really missing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is missing. And, you know, it's interesting you bring up also like doing, you know, paying actors, because from what I've read, it's like, wait a minute, like Nicholas Hoult apparently was the highest paid actor on this movie.
He's the most famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so
I mean, because Corn Sweat's relatively new. I mean, I guess Lois Lane had a show, but it was an Amazon show, so it was as popular as an Amazon show could be, right?
It's pretty good. It was pretty, and it was also, I think, anti-Zionist. So it was overlap. They make a joke about Zionism, but they didn't really confront it anyway. But they make a joke about
it. Well, that's kind of what this movie gestures at it, and it's like you know the thing we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else to go about in this movie? I think we covered every base. Other than, I guess we could talk a little bit about this. It's crazy how people are acting, and I'm going to assume they're either racist or misguided, or acting like Mr. Terrific is speaking like in jive or something.
No, he's not.
You see like an old guy. I've seen so many posts like, "Oh my, why did Mr. Terrific like that? He's speaking like in like a slang. What slang does he ever use?
He just has an attitude, but he's not like he's clearly very smart by how he talks.
He speaks normally. He's like speaking like a normal person. He speaks
like a very confident, someone who's like knows that he's so smart and is so confident, and like maybe has a little bit of that all seems character based, like the way he talks. Like there's nothing like hood about it.
It's like, even his verbiage is not like, his vernacular is not like even strange. He's like, I definitely agree. He speaks very smug, very confidently. But he's like a very deep voice. I had no idea that the actor could do that deep voice.
I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific, but that's not like that's just he's very kind of cocky, you know. He's like, I'm the shit. I know it.
Yeah.
I really hate. I know the tweet that you're referring to, and I saw it before it was deleted. I really hate that it got that much attention, because even when I was watching the movie, like it didn't even. I thought about it. I was like, wait, hold on. Why did this even get as much attention? Oh, that's right. It was bait. The brother speaks fine. I'm telling you, this is a black man. He speaks fine. There was no issues with his talk whatsoever. I think the tweet that just went out, and this person is well known for throwing out bullshit tweets like that. They did that to get a rise and just to get everybody focused on Mr. Terrific was fine. There was no issues whatsoever. But I guess because of the timing of the tweet, it went so viral that a lot of people went into it wondering about it. It was fine. It was fine. Like it's a non-issue is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, agreed. What do we think about the use of music, like not the compositions or remixes of the Williams thing, but like the actual like because music's usually important in gun movies. Yeah,
I thought the score was really good, and the needle drop that it does have is really good. And that's about it.
I like the ends one, the one that's playing when Mr. Terrific is having his big scene. I was like, that one felt like it was trying to really do a Guardians thing, and I was like, you don't have to do that. That's fine.
Agreed.
But the I'm a punk rocker is a good note. I think that moment does work, even if it has to yada yada over the messiness of the L heritage of just basically just everyone forget about that. Like don't think about that. We're just gonna focus on this nice moment.
The punk rocker stuff definitely works, but to me that was the only part of the score that I can remember, which is I think going from the operatic grandeur of Hans Zimmer was kind of
Zimmer's score is so good in Man of Steel.
It's so to me it's kind of a downgrade, but I kind of get it.
I wouldn't call the score bad though, because the stuff that isn't like the Williams like remixes, it's really kind of fun. I was really playing the score of this. It's like, why they should just let them make their own Superman theme.
That's what I it was almost like distracting from what I wanted to just hear what these composers did instead. And then I'm just hearing like a guitar remix of I'm like, okay, well, just do your own thing, man.
It's fine. Yeah. We're good. We're good.
I thought the score was fine. Like it wasn't something that was like overbearing. Like, I guess that's like a critique of, his Guardian movies. But like, it felt like a regular movie score. You know what I'm saying? Nothing felt too grand. Nothing felt too much. It was like it was normal. And then, like you said, until the end where, they did the thing like the punk rock stuff. But, I think that was the one time it was like, because okay, of course, Gunn has to add, his little flair to it. But I'm going to give him credit here. I'm going to give the man credit. He realizes this is a new universe. This is not Marvel. And he played his cards right in that era. So, yeah, I'm going to be fair and give the man his credit.
All right, but I think that's about it, though. Then, huh? Nothing else about this movie we can talk about, unless anyone can think of anything.
10 out of 10. I will go see this again.
I'll probably rewatch it, but
I'll definitely rewatch it, and maybe the stuff that bugs me I'll just be able to just enjoy the movie. I don't know. Some of the things are like story decisions that I'm like, I wish you just did a different thing here, but. Yeah, it's pretty inoffensive, like it was fun with I wish I had seen it with a bigger crowd. Like I went like an earlier screening, so I felt like, I wasn't sure if it was just the audience's muted response was just, it was the afternoon, or I was like, are people just not into gun humor? Because like I was the only one laughing at
really
like, when they go into the pocket universe and you see the monkeys I was like, that's good. And then no one else was no response to the people in my house laughed at the Jimmy massage more. They were like,
so that's just your theater then, just full of weirdos and a-holes.
They sit down like, man, I hope this movie hates women.
I mean, it does. It does. It really does. I'm sorry, Pat Grant. Why don't you just bounce around more in that low cut dress? That's the only thing you're here for, isn't it? This one does hate women.
I think I'm, I might rewatch the Henry Cavill movies instead. I'm sorry, it's just
I rewatched Man of Steel last night. It's a masterpiece. It remains a masterpiece.
I think just inherently those, regardless of like how people feel about the individual choice, those are like have takes and are trying things. Like they're, I mean, it's just kind of amazing that they exist, especially when you get to Batman v Superman, where I'm like, oh, he's like trying to apply the tone and themes of like he already did the Watchmen movie, but he's like trying to do the isn't it fucked up the superheroes are fascist thing, like in a Batman, the first film that Batman and Superman have had on screen, like live action film, they were just like, yeah, I'm gonna do that in this Batman v Superman movie. I'm like, damn, dude, go for it.
I mean, well, there is one thing. I mean, well, we could just have some fun with this. Like, how much y'all think this movie is gonna do? Like, at the end of it all,
I'm gonna say it's gonna break 700 million, but not more.
Yeah, I don't know if it gets a bill. Has anything broken a bill this year? Like, I feel like
no.
it'll probably do better than the other super. Like, Fantastic Four might just automatically get like because they are leaning into the. We swear, guys, this is like not Connect. You can just go see it. Like that it might do like it'll be better received than Thunderbolts, but like I don't think it's good. I think Superman's still gonna outgross it. Probably.
It's hard to break 1 billion nowadays, right? Like, I think Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean,
did
Lilo
it
and
last
Stitch
year.
made it look easy. Lilo and Stitch made it look easy.
You gotta remake an animated movie. Yeah, that's the key.
Right.
And they should have remade then Superman and the Machines. Okay, they should have remade that then. You know.
Remake the Fleischer Superman cartoons where Lois Lane uses like a Tommy gun. She should have had a gun. She should have been like like gunning down the rap. Make the Raptors fight her.
I mean, Man of Steel. She has a gun. Huh?
Wait, she did? I don't remember
but she
that.
has the Kryptonian rifle for like one scene where Jor-El's ghost or hologram is guiding her off the ship.
I remember that. Yeah. What a good like Russell Crowe.
So good.
Yeah, Russell Crowe was really good in that movie.
All right,
and I like Cost. I mean, yeah, he sucks as a person, especially recent news. But Kevin Costner is good as Podcan. I like that take on the character.
Oh yeah, no, he was really great. The one thing I want to say, and I'm glad we let it last because no one's gonna be listening by this point if someone ever listens to this. But the Kents suck in this movie. They're like Muppet people.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
They're like, we're talking about people with no character. People are like, oh my god, the Kents are so good and so sweet. They feel like real farmers who are just so sweet. Like, no, they feel like flat Stanley. You know,
I mean, it's the most the movie ever slows down, so that's why I like the ranch. Yeah. But I wish there was more characters, especially since they have
Gee Willikers, our son. That's my god damn it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that actress, but the guy they got for Podcat is a great actor. So I'm like, you give him like an inspirational speech to give to Clark. That's good, but like you could have used a lot more with him.
And what he says is nothing. He says a platitude. He says like the most generic thing. He's like,
well, it's the writing, right? Like the writing of those characters is just really, to me, it's just really bad. And I
mean, hey, you get where Superman gets his empty platitudes from when he talks to Luthor at the end. You're like, oh, that's how he was raised. Like,
I'm human just like you.
No, he's not. I'm sorry. God, you could debate this in so many ways, but like, no, I'm sorry. He's not like. That's a whole other subject. I have a lot of problems.
I think we covered it in that this movie's racist. Already.
Yes.
We already covered
it. Is. It is definitely racist.
But it's badly written to the point that it comes off racist. I want to cover my base there.
I think to touch on the Ma and Pa Kent, like I see what y'all are saying, and I'm not saying they're great by any means. Like I prefer Man of Steel Ma and Pa. Or just like Smallville Ma and Pa, but I feel like it's kind of one of those things they cut corners on in a similar way that they cut corners on Uncle Ben or Martha and what's his fate? Not Martha Ken
Thomas
Bruce Wayne's
Wayne.
parents, yeah, but Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. I feel like that's another thing. It was like, maybe the audience has seen enough of them, especially in movies. So like, we'll just give you a little bit because I liked the little bit that they had, there. I like the scene, but I think this was another case of we've given them too much. So
I
let's
think
just
there's
give them
ways
the
to
bare
do
bones.
it without repeating yourself and to make it because like I love the way the Batman does it in terms of like we're already starting him into his career a couple of years, but then the murder of his parents is like very important still. Like even though we don't see it, like it kind of like informs like his whole like is like, oh, this is just like a traumatized boy who like never grew up. Like that's
Foundational trauma.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see that, but yeah, I think for the most part, I thought they were okay, but I've seen better.
Yeah, I just wish that they seem like good actor. I know. Yeah, the Pokken actor is. I wish they
were
got a little
real
more.
people. Real people.
Yeah, because the way that they're written, it's more like they're abstract concepts in human form. They kind of represent.
They're
They
there.
represent goodness.
Yeah, they represent white American goodness. Yeah.
That's a good way to end.
What if his adopted parents were black? That should be
Yo,
the
let's
take.
go.
I mean, come on, but no, God wouldn't want to do that because it's it's his immigrant story.
Oh, there's black immigrants.
That's an immigrant story. Why would he say that 2 weeks before release, knowing that the movie ends the way it does?
Yo,
That's
dog, I like you, dog. I like you.
Hey, I just have I got ideas. They should act on this stuff.
For real. Oh shit.
Anyway, I know. I think we've mined all we can out of this.
Absolutely.
Well, Peacemaker season 2 coming out sometime at the end of this year or whenever.
Did you like season 1?
I like season 1 a lot. I'm not excited for anything to do with the crossover here in season 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's mostly contained, even though that we know Hawkgirl's going to be in it. Hopefully, those are just like little not because like we said, season 1 is pretty much its own thing. So let's just keep doing that.
Wait, hold up. When did we get that I must have missed something.
It was in the trailer.
I've been staying away from trailers. That's probably okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I avoided seeing the full trailer, but I've seen like the GIF of her like eating Cheetos or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I'm not excited for most everything. I mean, the Mr. Miracle cartoon, that's gonna be terrible. I don't know, like Supergirl. I'm not sure why they used the first bit we have of her to do that. It doesn't make me excited to see her movie at all.
Like unless that's gonna be the fight. Like I said, unless her movie's gonna be like a party movie and not a superhero. Like just make it super bad, but with Supergirl, and she's just like fucking partying. Like I don't think that's what the movie's gonna be though. So it is weird that is like our intro to her.
Anyway, I guess any final thoughts? I guess, Mikhail.
I guess I really hope that at some point in the future, they'll bring back more of that Snyder era continuity, maybe via, maybe via parallel universes or whatever. I still want to see all of that footage that never made it into the Flash with, Henry Cavill cameoing.
I mean, you have Elseworld tales for that reason. Like you can kind of just do whatever. Like so, and Snyder and Gunn seem to be like on good. I think Snyder's even said like, if I got to, as long as I got to do what I wanted, like I would come and do something. Like so, I don't know. They should let him do that.
I hope. I need, I really, because I think like it would be really bad if they just completely threw out like, that stuff. Like it really did serve as a kind of foundation, even for stuff we are seeing now, even the way this movie reacts, to the Snyderverse in its, because it's clearly, it really is in dialogue with those movies. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and so I don't think like we would have gotten this movie if we hadn't gotten, like Zack Snyder's take on Superman and then the reaction to that. And also, I love Aquaman. I really want to see Jason Momoa in that role. Not Lobo or whatever the hell they're throwing around out there.
Lobo is just one of those characters. Maybe I just haven't read the right Lobo comics. So it seems like it's like a cool character design is really carrying the fan base. I'm like, is he that interesting? Like, dude, is Lobo that cool?
He's just fun. He's fun, but he's not. I don't think he's that interesting. No, he's there to run riot. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, here's some Aki's here saying we need Hernan Guerra back. Yes. Thanks for reminding me too. Superman, Justice League Gods and Monsters. It has the immigrant Superman in there. The one from Mexico, and it's amazing.
Cool.
And it actually, it's so funny that this era of the DCU plan is called Gods and Monsters because Gods and Monsters, Justice League Gods and Monsters, has this entire subplot where Superman he's half Zod because Zod cucked Jor-El in this version. All right, and the message on his ship, right, is corrupted, so he doesn't see the entire thing. Okay, and until he finds out, so he thinks that Zod was like a good guy because he didn't see the entire message. And he's like, but like I got a rule of strength like my father did, that kind of thing. So he's like kind of mixed. He's kind of ambiguously moral, and then he finally sees the entire message where he finds out that Zod was evil, and he's like, oh man, things could have been so much different for me if I'd known that because I'm still gonna do what I need to do. I feel like it confronts that idea a lot more head on.
Yeah, Loki. That sounds more interesting than this movie. Yeah, I want to watch that.
Yeah, I feel like that Gunn ripped that movie off. Why else would he call it, Gods and Monsters? It's hack. Anyway, but no, it's a really good movie. I wish it got a sequel. I wish it did. Anyway, any other thoughts? Final thoughts?
I mean, I hope it does well. I'm willing to see where this universe goes, man. I mean, at this point, fuck it all. That's all I gotta say. Just let's see. Fuck it all. Just fuck it.
We need some stability, I think, in the DC WB continuity. So just something consistent at least for a few years. No more reboots for a while.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to do a last minute roll call. Okay, so, why don't you exit out, Ro, and let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You guys can find me on Roliver_Queen_ on Twitter, and you could find me on Roliver Queen Reviews. Elvis and I did a video a couple weeks ago, so please go check. The movie's already out, but I think it's still a conversation that's worth happening because for all we know, that shit could happen. So please go check that out. Yeah. And also thank you for 1.2K subs. Appreciate all the love, appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to do some more work with you guys, man. This is always fun.
Yeah. How about you, Doug? You're let us know we can find you.
Oh, yeah. I'm at the Doug Files on Twitter, and then also my YouTube is the Doug Files. I'm way behind on stuff I need to upload, but I'm been playing some stuff that I got in the Steam sale, Steam summer sale, so that's going to be up on my YouTube. Check that out. Yeah, that's me.
All right, and how about you, Mikkel?
I'm at MLS 532 on Twitter. I have a Substack called textualvariations.substack.com, and I like to post some really cool stuff there. Hoping to write something about Morbius this year.
All right. Well, I'm always glad to have you guys on. It's always great, the chat. I think this was a pretty fun one for a movie that, there's room for improvement. Maybe get some extra eyes on the script next time. And for the love of God,
they should get us in there.
For real.
Yeah, for the love of God, just do Bizarro. They don't need to do anything else. Just do fucking Bizarro World. That's it. All right, we're out. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.